Hello, welcome to the pub park. Welcome to the office hours, ladies and gentlemen. This is a live stream where I talk about Star Citizen, news, lore, and more. Let's get to the office, shall we? My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub. My camera keeps doing this weird thing where it's like super dark for some reason. Let me double check something. That's why. Because my green screen is different. Haha. Welcome, everybody. How y'all doing? My name's Paul. This is the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. So the office hours is a live stream where we yap. We yap about Star Citizen. I know a lot of people know me for yapping about Star Citizen. We also play it. We played it yesterday. We played it on Monday. We'll play it again on probably Friday, definitely Saturday. Definitely Saturday and Sunday. But exciting time to be a fan of Star Citizen. There's a lot going on, and we've also got a new video to watch for ISC, which is fantastic. Kind of a behind-the-scenes look at an ISC, kind of behind-the-scenes, behind jump points, what we're doing, all that kind of stuff. So, I don't think I'm going to say this again. I don't think the Intrepid needs a size 4 gun. I think it's fine where it is. I am glad though that there's enough people who are like passionately hating the Intrepid. It's like, good, welcome to my universe. Hey, I'm seeing a couple people hop on here. I joined Blue Sky a while ago, and now all of a sudden everyone's moving over to Blue Sky, which is good. So if you're watching this after the fact, find me on Blue Sky under Paul Shelley, or just TheAstroPub. You'll be able to find me pretty easily. I'm trying to get, before the end of the year, I'm trying to get 1,000 followers. Right now I'm at 414. I was at 7,000 followers on Twitter before I left, so. Blue Sky, yes. It's like Twitter, but it's run by the people who used to make Twitter. It's like if Twitter and Mastodon had a child. You get to control your algorithm a lot more. There's different feeds you can put yourself into, so you can build your own feed of just custom people that you want to see. Lists of people you can follow and just do that sort of stuff. So first Crusader ships I don't like were the Starfighter series. Doesn't fit with the Crusaders MMO or Dunlow's vision. I'm telling you, I think the story that they're kind of moving towards with either accidentally or on purpose is that Dunlow isn't in charge anymore. This isn't Dunlow's Crusader Industries. This is Kelly Kaplan's Crusader Industries. The Kelly Kaplan who revolutionized the Genesis and then the Hercules. The only other content creator finally moved to Blue Sky, so it's finally able to hit the big red button. Yeah, I know Troncy moved over recently, and so did Victoria. I've seen a lot of people, so it's like, yes. Liquid is here. Sorry. Anywho. That's fair. Pair that with Ninetales pressure. They're applying the capital class ships, and I suppose we can see it. Well, yeah, because like Crusader Industries under Dunlow was a means to make money for basically the company was the reason why the company existed was to it was a nonprofit. It was the whole purpose was a company to make profit to give to nonprofits, because Dunlow's philosophy was you cannot revolutionize. The revolutions don't work fundamentally on pure political will. You need to also build capital. Without the capital, you can't change anything. So he decided that he was going to change the universe by making money and then using that money to change the universe. Which is how Crusader became one of the most powerful companies in the UE. Because, you know, people have a feel good when they buy a Crusader ship, because they're like, oh, like 90% of this money is going to charity, so why not? And I'm getting a ship out of it. But Kaplan is not that. Kaplan is efficiency. And she bought a fucking planet. And now she has to take care of it. And she doesn't know how to take care of it. I think they were aiming for MSR Junior, but it didn't do well. I think it did okay. I think it's a hodgepodge of the Mercury Star Runner with the aesthetics of the it's the purpose of the Mercury Star Runner combined with the aesthetics of the Ares with the kind of layout of the C1. It's kind of a very stuff. You know. It's trying times. Pirates all up in us, and who knows what the Vandul are doing exactly. So Kaplan's taking the company in a direction most companies take: make money any way possible. Well, she's also pressured from outside and inside, because if she doesn't deal with the problems, which for some reason the Ninetales really, really, really want that ass. They fucking hate Crusader. They have a fucking hate boner for Crusader for some reason. And so they are dedicated to fucking up Crusader. Whereas Hurston and Microtech don't seem to have that issue. Neither does ArcCorp. So the people who are getting the most flack are where all of the crime is happening, which is the Crusader system. I say system, planetary system, but so the UEE is up their skirt blowing smoke, and the Ninetales are just like just they want that. It's bad. It's really bad. And of course they're the only like not pure evil corporation, you know, in Stanton, because ArcCorp is just Hurston, but they don't like to pretend they're Hurston, and Microtech is an Apple store if it was a planet. the amount of genetic modification, because like they support Rayari, the amount of like genetic abominations that they've created in Crusader or in Microtech. Hey, Dom. What do you think of the new Drake ship teased at CitizenCon? Baby Corsair mixed with a command module, maybe a VIP boarding ship? I have no idea. Don't forget that there'll be a Super Hornet Mark II as well. Yeah, at some point. Yeah, Luna, when are you due? You're due soon, right? I'm gonna call it now, Luna. I have no idea when you're due, but I'm gonna say you're gonna give birth the same day the 4.0 drops. Just to spite you.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
So in 4 days or December 18th?
Never, ever take away my space game.
MMOR Goat just resubscribed for 25 months.
Thank you so much there, Morgoth. You're a very important pupper, very impressive, very pedestrian. This is your fault. This is drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. How you doing, Morgoth? 25 months. It's insane. So people have been watching me and like subscribed to me for like 8 years. It's like, or like 6 years. It's like, what the fuck? I've been doing this for 6 years. Since Ninetales started life in Grimhex, is it possible they have something against Crusader's mismanagement of Green Imperial Housing Exchange? They didn't start in Grimhex, though. They've just set up in Grimhex. They started in Terra. There was a syndicate boss who was being transported, who had been captured and was being transported to trial, but he was part of a very, very, like, powerful boss, powerful group. Then this unknown group busted in, killed a bunch of people, like just sloppily killed tons of people, rescued the boss and left. And they were so sloppy they actually left one of their dead behind, and the dead had this snake in a 9 on their armor. And then so they thought that these was just kind of a new team, a new crew that was being hired by another syndicate to free the boss. Only they found the corpse of the boss they freed in 0G being with one bullet behind their back of their head, execution style. So someone hired them to kill that boss. And then they showed up in Magnus boosting ships. And they started just popping up all over the Empire. And then suddenly, like 2942, I think, they arrived in Grimhex, told everyone they were in charge, and if they had a problem with it, they'll throw them out an airlock. So a bunch of people decided that they're going to have a problem with it, and so they threw them out an airlock. So they're now totally not in control of Grimhex. All right, Luna. So now, my plans have been thwarted. Maybe 324.3 though. Good luck with it, Luna. I'm sure you'll be fine. Hey, BGR. Hey, PGR. PGR. Motherfucking star shows up in my chat. How you doing, PGR? Criminally underloved content creator PGR on YouTube. Absolutely go follow them right now. Go subscribe to them. We'll go to their channel and I'm gonna link it to everybody. We getting a new Drake ship? It was one of the silhouettes. Go. Do it now. Hey, bro, I'm glad to be able to catch stream. I'm glad you are too. Hopefully you can enjoy yourself. Can't wait to hear the uproar surrounding the Mark II Heartseeker. I live in hope that CIG is going to announce a customization system for ships once they get crafting and base building out in version 1. Paul, I have an IA baby. Name them Jax. Doesn't matter what gender, Jax. That actually works. It's kind of multiple gendered. Jimmy. Jim. Is there anything in lore that's something gigantic? I saw you say that earlier, Nor. Sorry. Is there anything in lore of someone doing a gigantic genetic warfare like it happened at Starfield? The creation of xenogenetic weapons and animals? Yeah. Welcome to Rayari. So the Stalker, the lore behind the Stalker, the Boreal Stalker that's in, that's probably not just going to be in Microtech, but that's where it's from. Probably spread all over. But the idea is that Microtech is far too cold to have any natural predators. Like, almost certainly the only creatures that can live on Microtech would be things like the original Kazi Grazer, the woolly grazer. That's the original, I'm pretty sure, because Kazi is a super cold region of Terra. So they had no predation. There was no predator species that could survive when they were doing the terraformation. So they didn't. So there's like a significant lack of wildlife in lots of parts of ArcCorp, not ArcCorp, Microtech, which is why they're the idea being like there's a lot of hunting because they have to cull because there's just no predators. So Rayari was designing a predator specifically for seed worlds and that could live at very extreme temperatures. So they weren't finished with it, and it got loose. And that's the Boreal Stalker. So I think the Stalker like species, Boreal, Desert, are going to be these are genetically modified weapons. Not really weapons, more like genetically modified environmental technology. So yeah. It's basically a genetic combination of like bears and like rhinos and stuff like that. So what's new? Oh, well, 4.0's the ISC today is on 4.0 specifically meshing, which is actually really interesting. They kind of go through the process of what happened and the problems that were happening with meshing and then how they fixed them. By the way, for those of you who don't know, 4.0 is currently doing a test, or it's going to have another test released today. And this is a Wave 1 candidate with 360 or 380 people in the server. No, it's 380 right now. Which is in the range of what I was thinking they're doing. It's a four server test with 380. So 2 in Pyro, 2 in Stanton, or not really 2 in Pyro, 2 in Stanton, because they don't need to do that. They can have servers everywhere else, so. That almost sounds sarcastic, Daroff. So exciting to be close to the development of a more stable entity tracking framework. Probably is sarcastic, honestly. Nah, far from it. Well, I mean, it's in 4.0, and from what they say in ISC, and they've also said earlier, is that like a lot of the stuff for 4.0 has already been locked down. They're just kind of tweaking things, and a lot of the stuff they've been testing and learning are for like further patches in 4.0. They found a blocker. They plan on dropping a hotfix in the morning with 4.0. Let me check my sauce. While going through the 4.0 build tonight, we found some issues that are going to block Wave 1 tonight, but hot fixable tomorrow. Our plan is now to publish the build a little later tonight on EPTU for Evocati test overnight, hotfix in the morning CST, and start a 2 to 3 hour test to determine Wave 1. That's pretty good. If they're doing Wave 1 now... Why is someone... Oh, someone just... Thank you, Steve. I was like, Steve, what are you doing? Why are you bringing me into a DPS conversation? I am not equipped for a DPS conversation, Steve. Yeah. I mean, Wave 1 typically doesn't go for more than a week or two. Sometimes they can go longer, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have Wave 1 out... They're into Wave 2 before Evocati, or before IAE is released. And then probably pause on the updates, go through IAE, and then get into Wave 3 or 4 right at the end of IAE. Is there a new ground vehicle in testing? I don't think so. I didn't see anything like that. I've heard rumors of a new ground vehicle, but there hasn't been released yet. I hope they sell another Argo variant, at least as a concept. I'm kind of done with concepts, honestly. I made an exception because Drake, beloved Drake, but, you know. The G12 hasn't moved at all. I'm really, really fucking hoping that CIG's getting through server meshing will actually get them to start moving on things like customization of your ships, ground vehicle changes, because like traction and movement and like ground movement has been stuck forever. Like little stuff like that. Stuff that is important, but not so important that you can't play the game, but important for like the game becoming a game. My guess is they're probably waiting for those changes before they introduce the G12 again. When did they promise it to be out by the last week of December? I think they just said they would be out this year. Probably why they had to remove some features. That's 100% why they removed features. And for context, chat, when they remove features, these weren't features that were removed and then like they've never been working on. The biggest problem, and this is something you always need to keep in count of, that I don't think CIG even does a good job of, which is they need to test everything. CIG is really good at making things. They can make things incredibly fast, actually. But making things and testing them to see if they work are two completely different skill sets. And CIG has always, and I mean always, struggled with testing at scale. So not only do they need to build something, but they need good QA testers to be able to test something. So if CIG is firefighting a build like 3.23 to 4.3, then they can't pull those testers, internal testers, away from that build to a new build until that build is released. So as a result, we're going to see a little bit more traction on 4.0 once 3.2, 4.3 is out the door. But that probably isn't going to be enough to test all of the stuff they've already done for, you know, engineering, which is why it's not in 4.0, because they just didn't have enough people to test it. And then once you test it, you find problems, and then those problems become, they have to get, you know, triaged and categorized and move, that kind of stuff. The problem that CIG has is not talent. It is not, I don't even think to a degree it's organization or planning. It's planning a little bit, but it's time. They're bad at time management. They're horrible at, their estimations are optimistic as fuck because they assume that it's never going to take as long to test and implement as it is. And I think it's because they want to push their time, like they want to push their developers to make something in time, which they seem to be pretty good at. But then they never leave any time for testing. I don't think they really dissected it enough. They need more Evo members who are active, but it's not even Evo. It's their internal QA. Like their internal QA team is fucking huge. It's like, I want to say like 100 people, if probably more than that just do QA. Some of them are attached to dedicated like, oh, I'm QA for FPS. I'm QA for, you know, Planet Tech. And then some of them are just, I'm general QA. Hey, Chops, how you doing? You subscribe to the Imperator thing so you can play 4.0 Wave 1, also for the UK when I could releases. They said tomorrow, and it's 2 a.m. UAK time Friday, so yeah. Need a QA for frame rate. Isn't there just a big bug in this latest patch? I've heard this latest patch's frame rate just took a dump. Who was this? I wasn't paying attention. Celine! Welcome everyone from Celine Star Dragon Stream. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shell, your humble host and space bartender here. At the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. You got a good one for you. By the way, Celine, I'm gonna need to talk to you and get a hold of you and your friends because I have a really stupid idea. We saved Stanton. Congratulations, Patrick. We saved Stanton. I have a really stupid idea for my April 1st stream that I need to invest time and money into. That will then come back every so often as like a punishment stream. I would like to create a VTuber model. No, I don't want to become a VTuber chat, but I do think it would be funny. But I am completely no idea. So. We came here to throw crap at the Intrepid, mention that it can fit a Gladius in the cargo bay of the Polaris, and say hi. Hey, Eula. You can not only can you fit a Gladius, you can fit two Gladiuses in a cargo bay. Or in the cargo bay, oh yeah. In the cargo bay. You can fit an arrow in there, so that's neat. Gladii? Yeah, I was thinking the hangar, but yeah. Statement: I can't save Stanton because the ships are trying to shoot me move like tadpoles. Hey Paul, should do a VTuber captain's table. Celine, Echobit, Warbotniks. I mean, Echobit and Celine have both been on before. Anti-cheat today was a bunch of VTube studio stuff for me, and after the update. Yeah, at the same time, we could do a VTuber. I do have a feeling that Star Citizen, once it's a little bit more stable, past 4.0, is going to start getting a lot of traction in the VTubing community. I don't follow VTubers hardcore, but all of the content creators I follow VTubers. So I kind of see the trends of where they go, and I'm like, yeah, Star Citizen, once it's a little bit more optimized, is definitely that kind of game. No, I have seen the new ISC. I have to watch it again though. VTube, yay, PaulTube better. The joke is that I'm not a joke, but the reason why I came up is because I've been planning on doing my April 1st stream to announce that I have now become a VTuber, and do an entire stream on April 1st with the VTube model, spending way too much money on a joke. I don't want to just get a PNG tube. I don't want to get a basic tube. I want to be stupid. I want to invest money into it. That way I have it, and then I can like use it again when I need to. Yeah, 3D VTube. Is it really an April Fool's? You'll forget, Phantom. All of you will forget before April 1st. So much shit goes on in the world that you'll forget that I said that. And when I make an announcement, you'll be like, oh, fuck. So a 3D model with full tracking and VR compatible? Yes. Like $2,000, right? For $3,000? I'm writing it right now so I don't forget. I say $3,000 and there's like a bunch of VTubers right now who are laughing at me. Ha ha ha, you poor sap. You think it's only going to cost $3,000? You know? $10K later, yeah. Look for Shozo. He takes a request in a month, I think. Okay. Actually, 3K for a good 3D model is pretty standard. Okay, it's not too bad. Also, AstroPub, I subscribed to Impaired a few hours ago as well. So a bunch of people have been saying that, so I get it. Because Wave 1, 4.0, Wave 1 tomorrow, possibly, but likely in the next week or so, because they're already chasing that down. So Wave 1 PTU, or Wave 1 PTU, which means more people get to enjoy Pyro. Hopefully, I do think that once more and more people have access to Pyro, they'll start to see, like, it's not really, like, the patch was gutted, but it's really not as big of a deal as people make it out to be. Are we getting a wipe with 4.0? Apparently not. I was thinking of starting a YouTube channel, maybe using a virtual avatar. Do it! The only reason I want Pyro is because EVA and Wormhole. I want Pyro because I want Pyro out. I want server meshing released. Artist rigging backgrounds. Yeah, no, I know the biggest expense is rigging. Getting someone to rig your model for you and to, like, the art itself isn't too difficult. It's just the rigging. You have to get a really good rigger. And they're not cheap. Wasn't server meshing gutted for 4.0? No. 4.0 only exists because server meshing, Pyro, and jump points. Those are the three things that 4.0 was promised. And CIG is doing minimum viable product. You do 2D rigging and it takes some time. I wonder if it's easier to do 3D. I can imagine 2D is a little bit more difficult because you kind of have to maybe even do like 2.5D. It kind of takes a little bit more look to it. It's easier? Okay. Yeah, no, VTubing, if you all are camera shy, if any of you all are camera shy, you can get a pretty decent basic VTuber model for free, if not for cheap. I say cheap, I mean like a couple $100, but you're looking at something that's like couple $100 that you can use, and it'll give someone to look at you. It gives you sort of like an identity that people can identify you by. And as somebody who is married to a very, not shy, but socially awkward and not socially awkward. She's very socially adept, introverted and very conscientious woman. She is she would do, like, I understand the VTubing. Like, VTubers are a lot of VTubers are just like I don't want to put my face on camera. But I want to stream, you know. They need to fix server meshing. Engineering won't work well without it. They need it out, yeah. That's why I'm writing and storyboarding dumbass Star Citizen Machinima. Do it, Hourglass. Yeah, Piss Poor Pete is a great example of a PNG tuber. It's true. Tutorial, your VTube is excellent, and you have made them for others for free, of course, since it's how professional it is. Pay your artists. Like that's just the rule of thumb. Pay artists. Since I started doing content, one of the things I've lived by is I offer to pay every single time, even if someone's like, I want to do it for free, because you can't eat exposure, and I want to get paid when I put in effort and time to something. So I would expect the same to if someone put in effort and time for me, I should pay for them. The nature of the free models is you can get whatever that sometimes you might even know actually downloading an illegal copy of said avatar. Yeah, that's the problem. Holy what? 5 figures for figures? It's probably usually 4 figures. Jack Jackson in his Kovalex box, yeah. I'm excited about the quality of Avatar 1 is probably 5 figures. Oh, okay. Listen, Ackland, I've been around enough artists. I will tell you this, 5 figures for a really good animated toon. Boy, you have not been on the internet long enough. People pay at least that much for art on the internet. And there's a bunch of people in chat who don't fucking say it. Don't tell Ackland. Do not ruin that poor boy's brain. Okay? He does not need to know what people spend art on. Spend like, you know, $10,000 on art on. Okay? Don't. Do not. Do not. I also don't want to get demonetized. I don't care, Ackland. You're a poor innocent child. I want you to be free of this burden that the rest of us have. I do not give you the PTSD of the internet. Question, does Vulkan API work in conjunction with server meshing, networking, or is it a wholly separate system? Completely separate. API is how the game renders the universe, or the Vulkan API is how the game renders like LODs and lighting and stuff like that. I could also be talking to my ass about that, but that's my understanding of it. Server meshing is more authentication pass off between game servers. It's like a backend system. Vulkan probably has some integration with server meshing, but the same way that like your gun has integration with server meshing, because the bullets have to pass through, you know, boundaries sometimes. I'm an IT desktop engineer and finishing carpenter. Areas I don't know much. AW areas or other areas I don't know much about. Don't ask your weirdest engineering friends about the art they spend, the amount of money they spend on art, because almost certainly those are the folks who who drop 5 figures on art. VQ, Vulkan is a GPU AI API, yeah. Just a way for the game to speak to the graphics card, yeah. It's a way of making things smoother. It's more efficient. Vulkan is a really good potatoification of games, where like you can take a potato and still run pretty good on games. It's very granular. Question, in Bishop's speech, he says some of you may die, but wouldn't they respawn in some place, or is that not wide use? So regen wasn't invented until 2949. 2950 is when the first regen was successfully completed, but it wasn't created until like between 2948 and 2949. The Battle of Vega takes place in 2945. So at least 3 years before the creation of regen technology. There's definitely a lot of IT people that spend money on art, especially in the U.S. Air Force, from what I hear. That's really funny there, Prophet. That's a funny visual, and I could also see it. Regen didn't have an issue with long-term use. We don't really know. It's still being tested out. How what the long-term effects are, but you know. Oh yeah, the other thing for those of you who don't know, Regen is actually Vanduul technology. It's not fully Vanduul technology, but the Ibrahim sphere, which is the thing that actually copies your soul, is created because of Vanduul, captured Vanduul technology. Do you think we'll ever see alien races in Star Citizen? To fly or fight? Because we'll see them in Squadron, and when they come into Squadron, they'll come into Star Citizen. And for those of you who didn't see, there are Xi'an bodies floating in space in Squadron, so I think Xi'an would be shortly afterwards. I think we'll probably see movement on aliens after 1.0, but I do think that both Xi'an and Vanduul will be in 1.0. I thought Vanduul took tech from people they conquer. They do. So we don't know if that is actually Vanduul technology or if it's something they stole it from, and who they stole it from, we don't know. If you're talking about to play, no, we're not going to be able to play aliens in 1.0, but definitely afterwards. I think playable aliens will be a paid expansion. I don't think that'll be, they've even said that way back in like 2014 when the discussion of playable aliens happened. They said, we plan on doing playable aliens, but that's one of those things that if we do it, we want to do it right, which will require us to write full-blown backstories and starting areas for like reputation systems just for the alien races. So they said that they'd probably do it as an expansion, as a paid expansion. By the way, in Star Citizen, are there space furries? I mean, humanity with all the tech to edit genes, our current timeline would take 0.1 seconds to start adding fur and cat ears. Like 90% of the people who's in those fields are furries. No, but I wouldn't be surprised if CIG adds that in later. There's like an unwritten rule of modern science fiction that aliens are humans or aliens based off of some sort of creature being in the universe is pretty high. Though Chris may also put his foot down on that one. But definitely, like, Tavaran are bird people. You know, so yeah. Are there furries? Yeah, there's a Tavaran. Though they are also a subjugated species, but yeah. If 40K can say yes to furries, then Chris can. If 40K can say yes to Mecha, then Chris can too, but... Listen, I still believe with all of my heart that Star Citizen should add battle mechs, because they've gone on record saying Star Citizen and Squadron 42 are a love letter to 80s sci-fi, and that's where it's inspired by. That's the whole, it's, you know, Aliens and Blade Runner and you know, Star Trek, Star Wars, the Battlestar Galactica, that sort of era of science fiction, tape futurism. And like, there's what is more iconic to tape futurism than fucking giant robots? Not fucking giant robots, so that is probably there, but yeah, giant robots. The problem is that Chris is mostly pulling from Western sources of science fiction, and I would say, though he does obviously have a love for Japanese stuff. If you've played Wing Commander, you know. But I think that also comes to do with his fascination with World War II, though. So, but like, yeah, most like 80s tape futurism in Japan was just mecha. It wasn't just mecha, but that's a huge part of it. I remember at one point going to that the Retaliator was going to have a charging station for Mech exosuit. Yeah, the similar to the ATLS, it's the cutter. I still think that's going to happen. Speaking of YouTube, I call that Kirk's Law. They'll add 5th gen armored cores with the wall bounces, jump mechanics, and high voltage swords. Don't forget those. There is the Zeus mech, yes, but that's not really a mech as much as it's power armor. The Zeus system, the Titan suits are effectively the power armor from 40K or the BattleTech or Fallout, that kind of thing. They're wearable suits that are partially pilotable. When I say battle mechs, I mean battle mechs. Like 2 sticks in a cockpit piloting a giant robot. Titanfall, yeah. Anywhere between, you know, Appleseed all the way up to like BattleTech and like Titans from 40K. Gundams are actually not that big. Gundams are usually only like, because like Gundams often fit inside like cities. Like they can make their way in streets between cities, and the buildings in them are usually slightly at their height, if not slightly below their height. They're like what? Like 4 or 5 stories tall, which is still huge, but that's 50 feet. Like BattleTech and 40K Titans are just fucking massive in comparison. 50 tons or so. Gundam, that is. Are we talking about like the mainline Gundams? Oh, I love Chrome Hounds. Because like Zaku's and like what do they call them? The GI? No, not GI. There's a term for it in the Gundam fandom, but I forget it. Y'all explain it to me. The like generic suits that you see. Every universe has its own version. GMs, thank you. GMs. Five stories. Well, it's like 50 feet. A story is about 10 feet. I'm using American terms. Like levels, 5 levels of a building. Yeah, floors. When do you think we'll see transient jump points? End of next year. You understood. But I mean, like, most people, when you think of like Gundams, like people think like these huge, gigantic, like think like Godzilla, you know? But they, like, Gundams are seen crouching behind buildings. Yeah, they're crouching behind skyscrapers, but they're not crouching behind the fucking Empire State Building. They're crouching behind office buildings for fighting, so. Yeah, not Pacific Rim sized. Gundams are taller than the smallest Titan in 40K. Imperial Knights are classified as the smallest Titans, and they're only 30 to 40 feet. So I'll make my pitch once more. I think that to make the Imperial Army, the UEE Army, have some teeth and some staying power, they need dedicated gunships, which have no quantum drives, but are dedicated to just fuel and weapons. So you take all the technology that you would take to build a ship, and you remove the heavy quantum drive, jump drives, and the need to have any of the quantum fuel, and you have a weapons platform that it can be pretty small and still carry an absolute shit ton of weapons. And you put that on planets to be kind of like for NPCs, it's kind of like a fuck around and find out. Like, they be absolutely devastating, but they can't chase you into atmosphere. They really can't chase you out of atmosphere. Like, they can, but they can't really move very fast, so you can escape them pretty easily. But they're designed for, like, ground attacks. And the other thing is to have things like, obviously, artillery, but, like, mechs, battle mechs, to be used as sort of shock troops to be able to go over, like, all terrain. And people would say, well, that's not realistic. Bird aliens. Okay? We have fucking bird aliens and World War II dogfighters in space. It doesn't have to be realistic. It just has to be cool. And that would be cool as fuck. Need to be transported. Yeah, you just have you could put a fucking... How do you transport most, like Gundams in like the Gundam universe? They flay them flat on the back, and they use like a little transport pod, and they just fling them out the back. Yeah, like train car, basically. I'm not talking about big mechs. I'm talking about like 20 to 40 feet tall, you know? And also, why not do the most iconic Western mech that has ever been created? I am, of course, speaking of the AT-AT. You have a four-legged walker as a command vehicle. Like, people would say, oh, mechs. But most people would be like, that's not mechs. It's a fucking AT-AT. I'm not sorry to disagree, but the AT-AT ain't a mech. It's just a Bradley with legs. Yes, but there are four-legged walking mechs that exist in BattleTech. And that's my point. You take like an AT-AT as a command vehicle and maybe like a mobile artillery piece, and then you have smaller support, because when you have a big mech like that, you need smaller support. So then you have a size down, you know, like 20 to 40 feet tall, like different versions of mechs, like a battle mech, the MMOification, tank, DPS, healer, control, or AOE kind of thing, different versions. And then you have the below that, you have the Zeus suits, the like power armor exosuits that you can use to support them. You know? And they already have a spider miner. Yeah, it's 73. It's huge, the AT-AT is. I'm not saying they should go for the same size as the AT-AT, but like you can go a little smaller than that. Legally distinct AT-AT. CIG's not put out a lot of thought into the ground war, especially given their vision for bases. Being able to take bases with pitiful levels of vehicles now would just not work. That's the thing. I don't think CIG has the ground vehicle game fully planned out. And that's why I think that mechs would become a perfect thing, because they're a basically walking ship. So you would be able to have players who are invested in ships also be able to play in those ground vehicles, and it would add some threat to other things. And people said, well, someone asked, like, do Vandal have mechs? Why not? Why not? Also, why would they need them? Because they're cool. You can make up a reason for it. They're very powerful weapons. They're hard to destroy. They're like, whatever, you know? As a ship player, I never want to touch the ground ever, except in a mech. Mechs are all terrain, in theory, yeah. They're walking tanks. Hover tank when? I mean, Tavar and hover tank. That's what I'm saying. We need no reason for mechs. Well, you and me don't need reason for mechs. The people in chat don't need reason for mechs. But someone's going to ask a question about their immersion, but you can write it away. That's a story, an easy story beat. And I also am an evangelist for mechs. I think that every story can use a mech. So mechs can be put in any science fiction story. Hell, mechs can be put in any story, period, and they'll improve. I mean, there's an entire subgenre of mecha fiction in fantasy universes. Like, everyone from there from Locust Stream. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Sally, your humble host and space bartender here. The AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. As I was saying, every story can be improved with mechs. You just came in and me trying to evangelize that Star Citizen needs battle mechs to fill up the ground game more. Mechs elaborate. So one of the biggest problems that CIG has right now is that the ground game isn't really fleshed out. So we have bases and we have vehicles, but the vehicles they don't really work that well. And there's not really a reason to use vehicles right now. And they're kind of figuring out reasons to use vehicles. And in lore, like the Navy has very detailed idea of what they're supposed to do, how they function. The Marines, same. The Advocacy, same. The CDF, same. They all have like good reasons to exist in the universe that CIG has created. But there is something called the UEE Army, and they have no lore. And there's really, the question is like, they just hold the ground bases? Like, what do they do? Like they seem to be a very kind of neutered branch of the military compared to everything else. And I think that's because they've never been the focus of the storytelling that CIG wants to tell. And my proposal is that the reason why the Army just sort of sits around is because the Army is like a lot of armies, like say like the US Army, where they're big, they're heavy, they have a gigantic logistics train, but when they show up, they're gonna hit you like a goddamn truck. Like, they don't show up to hang out, they show up to like build McDonald's. And something like gigantic walking death machines, which require a lot of maintenance and support, would make sense. Not only would it be cool and terrifying, but that would make sense as to why they aren't used a lot, because Like they're focused on these sorts of massive ground engagements, which require a ton of logistical trains. I like your funny words, Magic Man. And I'm not saying CIG needs to take BattleTech and turn it into Star Citizen, because I think that's too restrictive. I think CIG has a lot of very talented people. They have Sean motherfucking Tracy in their management team, the man who basically saved, you know, BattleTech and Mech Warrior before like Piranha was able to come in and sort of like pick up the pieces. Mech Warrior Living Legends, him and his brother created it. Like iconic mechs exist in science fiction, like battle games, like Warrior obviously, but things like Battlefield 2142. The mech in Battlefield 2142 is what I'm talking about. Also things like the sort of mechs in The Matrix, and also like the mechs in Avatar, you know? Yeah, Mech Warrior Living Legends was created by the Tracy brothers, Sean and his brother. And I think Sean definitely works for it. I don't know if his brother worked for CIG, but yeah. Titanfall. I mean, yeah. Someone mentioned BT, you know. Titanfall is another fantastic example. Like, you know, something like the size of an Atlas, which is in Titanfall, which is like 30 feet tall, I think. Like, BT is tall, but he's not that tall. I love a mech that can be hot dropped through atmosphere. Yeah. Yeah. CIG is filled with Warhammer players. So like a solid drop of like dreadnoughts or knights, you know, that kind of thing. I think it works for storytelling. It works for the aesthetic of the 80s science fiction that they try to go for, the tape futurism, the things that they're trying to go for. And I think it works for gameplay-wise because it allows for players to pilot a ground vehicle. Rather than piloting a ship, it gives it some, you know, a scale version of a ground vehicle. And of course, what is more iconic in Western media in terms of walkers than the AT-AT? Chris has already pulled pretty much everything from Star Wars, but we still don't have an AT-ST or an AT-AT. Those are mechs. As much as people don't want to say they're mechs, they're walkers, thus mechs. True, no lightsabers, but we do have laser knives. No droids yet. It would also solve the problem of how do you attack a base with ground vehicles? You have a mech. You can step over the walls. You know, 10 foot tall, 40 foot tall mech. Step. I get what you're saying, Tychus, but the way that the lore is written right now, the Army is a separate branch from the Navy and the Marines. The Marines are kind of a rapid response force that are their own branch that also have their own forces, their own kind of like fleets. The Army does have its own fleet as well, but it's all transports. So, and the Army is mostly done for defense, planetary defense, but they're also used for planetary assault, like for like taking territory. They just haven't been used for taking territory since the First Tevaran War for 400 years. Increase mobility. Yeah, exactly. Give them tiny little jumps so they have a little jump they can do. You know? You make them a little faster than a vehicle. Tychus, the one rule that I always say when it comes to like writing stories, like universes and stuff like that, is never assume logical progression in a universe with humans, because we're not logical and we're not reasonable. Lots of things exist in our own time that doesn't make any sense to exist, but it still does. Especially in the military. The Marines have their own fleet, like bigger ships or just fighters, dropships. Like they have their own Bengals. There's a dedicated Marine fleet that defends their home planet, which is an ice planet. Marines train in the best way possible. You find out who's the best of every training group, then you pull them out of that training group and you throw them on an ice planet that's barely habitable and say, survive. And if you survive, you start your training. The only people who have seen the inside of the Marines headquarters, the very headquarters of the UE Marines, are the highest ranking officials in the UE and the Marines. They live under the planet's surface. They have, like, it's this massive base under the surface. Yes, I am. I am writing a novel. I want to get a couple of the chapters done before I start releasing them in pieces, though. Yeah. Marines in High Command, yeah. UE Marines are more closely similar to the modern special forces than what we know the Marines are today. They're actually a little bit more of a combination. There are multiple. They're basically special forces, but they also still serve on Navy ships as a Marines would. But they also have their own forces. They're the best way of describing the Marines, based off of their current kind of hodgepodge of lore, is that they are a special forces group mixed in with the Marines as we know them today, combined with a little bit of Navy stuff. Because they're their own branch, they ride in their own ships, but they also participate with the Navy to help protect Navy ships. But they're not big enough of a branch that they can take over like guard duties and patrol duties from the Army or the Navy. They're a specialized branch that deals in special forces operations, planetary landings, beachhead securement, and special forces raids and stuff like that. Everything from 5-man special ops sort of thing all the way up to a smash and grab raids or like landing on a planet to secure a beachhead for the Army to come down. Have the Marines updated their selection test since the introduction of the Ibrahim sphere? I don't know, probably. I just realized you did the Smuggling 101 book. I did create a Smuggling 101 guide, yes. And I am going to be doing it again when they actually have smuggling back. I keep meaning to go back and do it, but then they removed it. So when smuggling comes in, that is my main goal, and I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of videos on it. Also, while AT-ATs would give us a reason to build something, some big fuck you cannons from Sherman for defense. Exactly. But yeah, Luna, I'm writing a book. It's gonna be, I I'm not gonna. I don't have a publisher or anything like that. This is just me writing because I've always been a writer, and I just stopped writing for a while because I got busy with other things. Yeah, the Intrepid I think is close to, I would say now competitive as the best starter smuggler next to the 315P. I think the 315P still kind of outclasses it in many ways because it's a little bit more versatile and it has more cargo space. But the Intrepid has insane amounts of quantum fuel. It has the same amount of quantum fuel as the Zeus CL, and I don't see it going any lower than that. It's got an interior cargo space. It's fast as fuck, and it has internal somewhat shielded stuff. So, will there be an audible version? Oh, yeah. I have to talk to some people. I have ideas of who to talk to who can do the audiobook version, but I'm not even finished with the book, so I'm not gonna think about an audio version. I've been writing stories for the same cast of characters since my early teens. Same characters, switch between fantasy and sci-fi. I have enough for a series of novels. Then do it, Luna. Just sit down and make them. We live in an era where you can self-publish super easily. Yeah, I don't plan, Phantom. I don't plan on doing print-on-demand agencies. I plan on doing self-publishing at least initially, and then if it gets big enough where I can attract the attention of a publisher, we'll do that. But yeah. This is the reason why I pimp the fact that my wife is a writer and she's a published author and has a book called Panic Eyes! Exclamation point book, I think, in chat. Go buy it, please. It's on Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble. Please buy it. And if you enjoy it, please leave a review. Hey, Starfire. Going to read your audiobook yourself? No. I, because of the genre it's in, I know who I want to read it, but I have to talk to them about it, and I haven't finished writing the book. So let me finish writing the book before I start talking to somebody about reading it. Don't do it through Amazon either. I heard lots of horror stories doing that. It's also more accessible through Amazon, though. As a designer, I know the Intrepid looks weird. To shrink the design language down, they had two choices: keep the standard round edges and limit the flat spaces, or keep the flat and make some really sharp corners. They chose the latter. From a distance, it looks like any other Crusader ship. Up close, the corners are hard and looks really off-putting. Yeah, I understand why they were trying to do it. I think they were trying to use it as an experiment to try to mesh the C1 with the Ares, while also while giving it the same sort of characteristics as a Star Runner. It's a baby Star Runner. It's if the Star Runner and the Ares had a child. Just make sure you get CIG's permission before you publish your Cal Mason erotic fanfic, Astro. Not gonna talk about that, but I have also thought about writing a actual fan fiction for Star Citizen in the sort of style that you would see, Black Library books or Battletech books, where like an author writes a book set in the universe. I have an outline for a story set in the Star Citizen universe with original characters and stuff like that. But I want to write my original book first before I actually, and see if I can get people to like it. And then I can go to CIG and be like, pay me. The lore guy writing fanfiction is just lore, right? I mean, if I can get CIG to publish it, yeah. Or, back it. Starring Cal Mason? No, Cal Mason's not in it. I wouldn't let any of you share Cal Mason. Cal Mason is my husband, and none of you can have him. He's mine. Why would I want to share that? Ugh, I'm a jealous man. All right, I'm gonna get some water. And I'll be right back. My brother uses my stories as a background narrative for his tabletop role-playing universe. I'm happy with that for now. That's cool. I haven't heard that before. You stay away from him, Phantom. Just know if there's a mod for Squadron 42 at some point where you can seduce Cal Mason, I did that. That was me. And CIG can send their lawyers after me then. Ugh.
Genesis. Good news, everyone. Genesis. Genesis.
Stand by for Titanfall.
Genesis. 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 Genesis.
Stand by for Titanfall.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Genesis. 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 I like money. Genesis. Genesis. Genesis.
Drugs.
I love Genesis. Genesis.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
Yeah, I forgot. I'd never deal with Amazon, try to get a book to complete my Discworld collection at the time. Had the Rock Edition, but I wanted the first edition Gulkans with the gorgeous artwork with Josh Kirby. Amazon listed a copy available. Took 3 attempts for them to actually remember to fill my order, and 6 months later I started the mess. It arrived, but it was the new Harper Collins collection. Oof. Yeah, new EPTU. That's the 4.0. Where do Marines have their crayons made? Can this be a job? The Intrepid, what's your review of it? You like it or not? Needs fixed. I think it's fine for what it is. I don't think it needs a size 4. If it gets a size 4, that's fine, but that doesn't solve the problems with the single gun. I think you solve the problems with firepower by giving it a turret on the top and making that weapon a bespoke, and then swapping out the cargo bays for transport pods and turning it into a bounty hunting ship. What really is it's a star runner. Yeah, I was gonna say it's a star runner, and I was like, no, it's a star runner. Mercury Star Runner. It's a blockade runner. It's a starter blockade runner. Yeah, it's not meant to be a combat ship. That's why, like, just having a gun is fine. The underpowered components mean you can run low emissions and it's fast. It's a smuggling ship. I had a question. Given the roadmap display we saw in 1.0, some of the friends of mine have been discussing exploration as a career and wondering about the future and how far away it is. Thoughts? Okay, Tychus, and you said this, and I've said this. I've been saying this for several years, and chat can back me up on this one. People think exploration wrong. People have always thought of exploration wrong. Because CIG was talking about finding jump points, everyone has always assumed that exploration was finding new worlds and new civilizations, making love to strange alien women, and the cool part of Star Trek. But everyone forgets that the cool parts of Star Trek doesn't happen because they discover every week they discover a new anomaly out of the blue. The cool parts in Star Trek happen because they're delivering supplies to some foreign or distant colony, or they're updating maps of a region that's already been discovered, or scanning a new region of space that hasn't been updated in a while. Like, Star Trek's mostly about mapping. Most of what Star Trek's exploration is mapping, and I think that's really what we'll see with Star Citizen. Most of exploration in Star Citizen is going to be updating maps. It's cartography. Science is going to come in when you go to an area to study the long-term effects of something, but it's just going to be mapping. Or doing type of missions from lower decks, yeah. Taking surveys of an asteroid belt, taking a grid square of a system, and updating the maps for the interstellar cartographer, the intergalactic stellar surveyors, or imperial I can't remember the name of it, but yeah. Updating system maps when a transit point arrives, moving mineral fields and belts. Basically, yeah. The most you're going to do in terms of finding jump points is finding transient jump points. You mean doing what that's done Elite Dangerous? Finding less than that, because Elite at least has like an entire galaxy, so you can find 3 billion planets. Instead, you'll have more granular exploration. Like, go to Microtech, go to this valley, and map out this valley. That's it. Now, what will be exciting about that is sometimes when you map out that valley, you find a herd of Copians or Valakar, you know? And you're like, fuck, okay, rare resources here. And if you're in deep space scanning out, maybe you find an asteroid base that's controlled by pirates that has some secret treasure inside, or a wreck of a ship that you might be able to salvage or take in, or some rare minerals. But most of the time, it's just scanning categories and getting data and bringing it back. So you see that being the career under 1.0 umbrella with its limited places. I figured it's got to be. I figured it's probably going to be going somewhere, but it's been undiscovered. Nope. That's what you're seeing. You're going to be updating planets and maps with 4 systems. You don't underestimate the size of these systems. Stanton is the smallest of the systems that will be in 1.0, and even with its reduced size, Pyro is still like twice the size of Stanton. Stanton is 4 AU, 3 or 4 AU. I don't use AU anymore, but and Pyro is 9 AU. Terra is probably a little bit bigger than that. And maybe about the same size. And Magnus is a little smaller. Not Magnus, Castor's a little smaller. And Nyx is bigger than that, though. I think Nyx is actually like 9 AU as well, or 12 AU. Yeah, and Stanton doesn't have the Aaron Halo explorable really yet. There is a lot of space in Star Citizen. Just a fuck ton of space. And they can stick procedurally generated shit in that space. I remember they mentioned selling survey data as part of exploration. Yeah, but it's mostly going to be updating the survey data, not brand new. Yeah. All right, cool. I never heard someone say it that way. Most people were talking about expecting unexplored. Yeah, that's the problem, is that most people have this idea of exploration being Star Trek. You're not going to get Star Trek exploration. You're going to get the off-screen Star Trek exploration. You're going to get the 2 months of the Enterprise scanning a nebula, not the 4 days which that nebula contained a replicant from the future who's been sent back in time to prevent, Data from inventing the Tesla coil. Like, you don't have the exciting adventures of Data and in the past, in the future with the stuff. No, you're gonna have scanning for life forms in a nebula. Now, I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun because CIG will throw things in that'll spice it up, and hopefully the actual scanning gameplay and categorizing stuff is engaging at least. Like, I wouldn't say cargo trading is the most engaging or most thrilling gameplay, but it's engaging. I enjoy it. I enjoy picking up boxes, moving it, sorting things by destination, trying to find good ways of optimizing routes and stuff like that. Just like mining is not really challenging, but it definitely requires you to kind of pay attention or to dial in. You can kind of zen out. That's what exploration is going to be. It's mostly you throwing on some lo-fi or throwing on a podcast, going around and scanning an area for something cool, and every so often you get scared shitless. You're less Starfleet and more USGS. You're not exploring brand new frontiers, but you might go out into the middle of nowhere that no one has been there, that no one's been there for 100 years, and map out an area and be like, damn, this is beautiful. And then find an endangered species that everyone thought was dead. That's the kind of thing. Like, what exploration gameplay is going to be sightseeing. And I think a lot of people will like that, because it's like, go to this area that nobody's been, and you go set up like a probe or something like that. You'll set up something on the ground where you have to deploy stuff and move around. But it's going to encourage sort of slow living gameplay, where you go to the top of a mountain and just be like, damn, CIG's good at making pretty things, and then move on. What you doing? We're talking about exploration. Yeah, and there'll definitely be unknown systems in the future. Like, that's going forward, they'll have unknown systems. And I think at some point CIG will likely start adding in unknown systems to the game that aren't on the star map, just for fun and to see if people can find them. But gives more understanding behind the Carrack design and the military one and an Explorer. Yeah, the Carrack is actually built into 2 different versions. There's the survey and the experimental, I want to say, the S and E versions. The S versions are for like mapping updates, and the experimental are more like doing experiments on the edge of space. Like, the big thing that the Carrack is known for is going to the Oort cloud of the Killian system, which is like 96 AU. It is gigantic. It's one of the largest systems in the UEE, and it's the headquarters of the UEE military. And so, but no one had been to the edge of the system because it required so much time and resources to go out there. So when they built the Carrack, they said, let's fucking test out by seeing if we can go all the way out there. So they sent the UES Carrack all the way to the edge of the Killian system. And to study to see if there's possibly unknown jump points out there. They didn't find any, but, you know, that we know of. But, you know, that's the kind of thing. Like, I would expect exploration missions to be like, you see the edge of the map? Go there. Scan this area, which is so far away that unless you have an exploration ship, you're fucked. One of the best ways they could handle exploration post-launch is to add things and not announce them to make them true discoveries. People will find them immediately because they'll pillage the builds. We're already deconstructing the builds. CIG can't hide new systems. Someone will find it very quickly. Yeah, data mining. All right, let's watch ISC. This is a really good ISC. And I've been streaming for a little over an hour and a half, so we'll wait. I'll wait a little bit longer because I think there's an ad break coming in a couple seconds. So be right back, chat. Okay, so some of you are gone, some of you are still here. AI generated content. I don't think we'll see AI generated content. I think CIG will probably have procedurally generated content in some cases, but yeah. But it's one of those things where I think everyone was expecting exploration that was never going to happen. Because, like, CIG was never going to make thousands of star systems. Even at its most basic version, it was like 100 systems. Knowing something exists and knowing where it is and happens, no, people will be able to find you exactly where it is there, Oni. They will 100% know, like, everything. Data miners will be able to leak that instantly, and they will. And if they don't, someone will find it first and find it for you. The idea of having a system that will be hidden until players discover it is fundamentally flawed, because they will find it.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No BPUs.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Trouble Magnet just resubscribed for 84 months, 7 years. Where does the time go?
I know. Fuck. Thank you so much for that. 84 months of support. You're a very important pubber, very impressive pisser, very needed pedestrian. This is your fault that you're trying to drink a night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Now, the onion. Yeah. Wait about a minute. Because that's what's going on right now. See, as you talked about mining bags being able to be taken off and others sell for you. What patch was that planned? It's already in now, MP. You can take them off and like attach and unattach them now. I don't know if you can put them into cargo decks though. I don't think they're full. But I know empty ones you can take off. Oh yeah, I'm actually kind of pissed that the Onion bought the InfoWars because InfoWars is here in Austin. And they were going to do a fire sale. We're going to sell up a bunch of the physical merch, the physical stuff at an auction. And I was like, I'm going there. If not just to get some like pieces of history, but because they have some really good kit in Inforunners, keep saying that, InfoWars, they're really high quality. And I'm like, I'll get a fucking high quality light or like camera or something like that for super cheap. Fuck yeah. But they fucking stole it. Yeah, Fort Studio 4K camera for my streaming setup. Fucking bastards. History. Well, it's a piece of Austin history because they've been here in Austin forever. So. It's true. No, it is true. Because the Onion is based in Insane. They did it for the memes. They 100% did it for the memes. $1.5 million, right? But I don't think they bought everything. I think they bought the name. No, they're on record. We did it because it's funny. That's what I mean. They did it because it's funny. The rights, okay. They got the names, socials, camera equipment. Fucking assholes. Fucking dicks. I'm gonna go write an angry letter to Tim Onion. Dear Tim Onion, you are a bag of dicks. Why did you take my camera equipment? Signed, an angry Austinite. John Onion. Bloomin' onions. For those of you who are completely out of the loop, I'm going to explain something that most people already get. The Onion is a satirical news site that has been famous for being satirical and then the world becoming like the Onion. InfoWars was bankrupted for a lot of different reasons. I'm not going to get into the politics behind it. But they're headquartered here in Austin. And the Onion purchased, so because they were bankrupted, they had to do basically a fire sale to be able to pay off some of their losses, to recoup their losses. And so the Onion purchased it. They just bought it. Oh, please, Paul, you would have gotten outbid by like the local news channels. I know I would have, Cyberwolf, but I wanted one thing, okay? I wanted one thing. That's it. The Onion has struggled for relevance as reality has become more absurd, which is why they bought the InfoWars. That's the real reason why they bought InfoWars, because they wanted to become more credible. I used to listen to Alex Late Night Public Access Austin back in the 90s when I was stoned for entertainment. He wrote for the Austin Statesman, Jin. Like, he was a legitimate journalist for a long time. Like, when I say that the plain truth is just the InfoWars of Star Citizen, I'm not joking. Like, a lot of Alex Jones's past was based off of, or a lot of Alex Jones's past, a lot of what's his name? Parker Terrell. A lot of Parker Terrell is just Alex Jones. Now, Parker Terrell was more legitimate than Alex Jones ever was in terms of his investigative reporting, but, you know. But Parker Terrell is Alex Jones. Like, CIG does the thing they always do, which is they take a real-life person or events or things, and then they kind of twist it until it works in Star Citizen and put it in Star Citizen lore. Like the creation of the Reliant is just the flying wing from the 50s. Was it Bell? No, I can't remember who did it. But was it Lockheed? One of the big companies that built the like a flying wing prototype for the U.S. military, and it never really paneled out. And then it eventually, when the B-2 came out, they brought him to the unveiling of the B-2, and he didn't know that they were working on a flying wing. And he was like, "You motherfuckers!" That's literally the story of the Reliant. The Reliant was supposed to be originally designed during the Freelancer phase. When the Freelancer was being designed, it was called the Plan D, I think, or Plan B, something like that. And he never got passed, but then they took the idea up later after the Freelancer was super successful. And so it was basically a Reliant, but the size of the Freelancer. But after it was super successful, they brought him back and watched let him watch the unveiling of the Reliant, and he didn't even know that the Reliant system was even being developed. So he saw his own sort of flying wing design being created. It's literally them copying real history. Okay, Paul, explain to noobs explain to noobs here who that is. Parker Terrell. Parker Terrell is the Alex Jones of Star Citizen. He is a former investigative journalist for the United Times, who intentionally disappeared in 2943. I'm reading the wiki right now. After making inquiries about quote-unquote Imperial death squads, and then resurfaced months later. He lost his job and then created a show called The Plain Truth, produced and moderated by himself, and which premiered a year later. And he's produced on Terra 2, on Terra. And my guess is New Austin, because CIG. It's an entire series you can read on Star Citizen's website. Parker Terrell's stories are entirely readable. You can read every single one. There are some really fun stories that have come up there, like stories about the advocacy, stories about the how the current Imperator is actually an alien, the United Workers of Hurston debacle. Mm-hmm. He's the one who broke the story initially broke the story on the Retribution. But he didn't realize that the Retribution wasn't a planet cracker created by, super killer weapons. Jack Northrop. Thank you, Zens. Yeah, that's who I was talking about. Northrop, yeah. Oh, you mean the American company that based their flying wing on World War II German blueprints recovered by the Allies? I don't know if they did or not. I think it was designed before the Germans' blueprints had come back. Jack Northrop, I think, was designing his flying wing before World War II ended. And so it was kind of a convergent design. Is Zark Media also a conspiratorial outfit? No, they're just they're aren't they Stanton today? First test was 1940, yeah. Because like the problem that they were facing in World War II, just a little bit history side, was the Americans wanted to get involved in World War II, but to fly to get between the U.S. and Europe was too long for most planes to be able to fly nonstop. So they had to stop in a place like Greenland and refuel and go somewhere else. But that still required a massive logistical network to keep bases between Europe and America active, need food and fuel, and that's all expensive. And then you could still be shot with torpedoes if you're doing any kind of ships. So the idea was, could we create a strike capability to strike Europe from America with fuel, like fuel efficient enough to do that? And so the flying wing if I remember something about it being super fuel efficient in terms of its design because of its airfoil. So in theory, it would be able to go much longer ranges than typical planes at the time to Europe and return. That was the theory of why it was being built. And it never fucking worked. Giant Wing was a giant fuel tank as well, yeah. And the Horton's America bomber was built well into the 1940s for similar reasons, because they wanted something they could bomb America from Germany. When are we going to see in-game news and entertainment channels that reflect where we are in any given system? Horton Ho 229, yeah. It was never built, but it was designed under the same concept. But it was designed in like 45 or 44. Like its design was kicking around for a while, but it was like not picked up until after, like late in the war. But yeah, someone's pointing out I forgot what the name of it. Was it the BX or the X something? The one that was built in 40, the American ones. Like a lot of stuff that's in Germany, like German rocket programs, all of it started in America. Like Werner von Braun couldn't have done shit without, what's his name? Goddard. Goddard testing his rockets in Roswell, New Mexico, which is absolutely true. That's where he tested his rockets, is like the father of modern rocketry. He's the one who figured out all the hard shit in the 20s and 30s. And all of his shit was eventually, picked up by people like von Braun, who then made it better. Goddard is the absolute OG. YB35. Thank you, Hazeltine. It's time. No one gives Robert Goddard the respect that man deserves. That man did some stupid shit in very uncomfortable positions for science. With how weird the world is now, we're going to see a lot of wacky military tech bubbling up again. Yeah, it's just what happens when you get technology that's advanced beyond the needs for a lot of, like fly-by-wire systems. Basically means a brick can fly with enough thrust. Also, new weapon systems being designed now in the U.S. now look eerily similar to the Star Citizen UEE systems, because CIG stole a lot of those designs from prototypes that the U.S. military has already released. I like the Vietnam pilot who, after losing his legs, realized he was a better pilot than everyone else because he could now bank and handle G's better now. Isn't that the plot behind Gundam Thunderbolt? Thoughts on the Starlancer attack? Which Fury? I love the Starlancer attack. I have one. It's going to be the best kind of all-round mercenary dropship. It is the vehicle. It is the mercenary dropship that the Redeemer was supposed to be. It is. It is, yeah. It was inspired by the Vietnam pilot. Star Fox also not having legs was from that. Yeah. Australia is making stealth drones out of flat pack cardboard. We won't be out wackied. You could never be out wackied. What's the name of that that famously like hand-built tank from Australia? The Mackie? That wasn't the Mackie. The Mackie is the first BattleTech one. Bob Simple. Yeah, the Simple. The Bob Simple. Your most famous outlaw is a dude who built his own Iron Man suit. Okay? Like, Australia will never be out-wackied. Ever. That's the real reason why Operation British targeted Sydney, Australia. Because the Xeon was like, we can't let Australia live. If we're going to lose this war, Australia is going to build a pure Gundam out of fucking corpses of koalas that will destroy all of us. Sydney can't survive. Sydney is the last hope for humanity. Australia is the world's Florida. My favorite story, my favorite theory is that the reason why we haven't been contacted by aliens is because we are the intergalactic version of Florida. Earth is space Florida. A Gundam out of Foster scans. Like everything on Earth is insane, is trying to kill you. Like the smallest things can kill you out of nowhere, and you have no way of preventing them except for using chemicals, which will reduce your lifespan significantly. Multiple creatures can kill us easily. Most of our major trade routes take place over oceans, which are inhabited by creatures we have no idea about, and some of the largest creatures on the planet, who sometimes like to attack our boats for fun because they're bored. No one comes here because everything is designed to kill you. Even the humans. I like that theory because it means like the rest of the universe is super peaceful and super like ordered, and like evolution was sort of like nice and but the idea of like a chainsaw only exists in the mind of an earther. If I was gonna do a Fury in my put Furies in my TAC, it would be the regular Fury. Earth is a death world, yeah. The theory I've heard that I believe about the orcas attacking pleasure boats is that young orcas are bored and they discovered that if they can knock off the rudder off of a ship, they can play with it. Because orcas are really smart, but they also have trends. So like young orcas will do crazy, like at one point there was a trend where orcas would put dead fish on their heads. Or was it like squid? Might have been squid. Like they wore like squid toupees. They'd wear some like dead animal on their head as a fashion accessory. And a bunch of orcas were starting to do that. And then older orcas started doing it. And so then the younger orcas stopped doing it. Yeah, it's a meme. They're attacking pleasure boats for the meme. This is some of my favorite sci-fi stories, especially like there's a lot of like online fiction that's been written about it, like how humanity is the most dangerous species in the universe, but we don't know. like humanity achieves space travel and like meets the interstellar like societies, but like when we're super like friendly and stuff like that, but when shit hits the fan, and like this ancient evil is awakening and all of these powerful militaries are unable to stop it, but no one asks humanity for help because they're like, they're fucking humanity. Like they're just nice, weird people who live on a death world. Like who cares? And finally, like, the humanity figures out what's going on. It's like, oh, sure. Pushes button, deletes the entire alien fleet. It's like, what the fuck did you do? It's like, that shit's basic. We've had that for years. How do you not know this? Like, humanity's the most dangerous fucking species because we are super advanced and can kill anything, but we're just really, really dumb. I guess it's because I like that idea because it's also kind of the idea behind it's kind of the idea in Stargate. One of my favorite lines from Stargate is when Thor is talking with O'Neill about talking about the replicators, and they're like, "Why are you asking us to help you about this ancient evil that not even you can defeat?" And Thor is like, "No Asgardian scientist would ever think about using chemical propellants to fire a small projectile as a weapon. Humans are innovative and think out of the box in ways that we don't understand. So yeah, I trust that you can figure this out." Humans are usually the weak victims. The Asgardians had moved past that by a few thousand plus years. Well, if I remember correctly, the quote was basically like they never even came up with the idea. Like they leaped above that idea well before like they even came to that idea. Basically, the humans are the orcs of the universe. Yeah. We are too smart to consider the ideas and simple solutions. Yeah, you do. Yeah. We're mad monkeys, yeah. And we wear random stuffs on our head. Yeah. Humans are orcs, yeah, that packs. As I said. Yeah. All right, let's watch this IC.
So it's been a while since we had you in here. What's happened since then? Hi, Steve.
Well, we all went back home and we didn't do anything for about a year and a half. And then suddenly we made server mission happen. No.
Confirmed. CIG does nothing for a year and a half, and then they just pull server meshing out of their butt. That's how the world works.
We've been busy. Busy taking all of the feedback and all of the data that we gathered during the last series of tech preview tests.
We've really been developing the technology and making sure it covers all the use cases that the system requires.
And rolling that forward into new and exciting stuff.
What new and exciting stuff?
Ok, jump point detected! Jump point detected! Incroyable! C'est donc... Oh!
You probably noticed we are pushing player counts higher and higher as the weeks go by.
Why did we do this with real players? Why don't you guys just script something or use bots? It never matches the actual real-time environment that players can actually represent. Putting real players in the build is the only way to really see the true depth of the troubles that we're in.
We'll always start out with kind of a safe test at 100 players.
So we verify here that we haven't introduced new crashes that would detriment the experience, and that the performance is on par with what we would expect for a single server with 100 players. We let that run and soak for like 30 minutes to an hour. And then once we've confirmed that that's actually functional, then we go to higher numbers.
Initially, when we were pushing up to 500 players, that was putting a lot of burden on a number of systems. It's one of the reasons why we needed to replace our message queue.
Where now we needed more parallelism into how we shuffled messages across the hybrid, because the amount of data that it has to shuffle is a lot higher than we expected.
From what I understand, same mesh, so 250, 4 servers. Right now we're at 231 players. Making our jump to Pyro system.
So we decided to take a couple of months out and completely rewrite it. We came back then with what you've heard us referring to as the replication message queue, or RMQ. So RMQ is a product of the UK networking team, so that's Clive Johnson, Dave Kaplan, Jordan Wood, Nathan Matthias, Santi Ortiz. Those guys, I mean, they really put their heads down, and I think they really delivered on something that is going to scale to the future.
The intention of RMQ was to provide us with a more stable foundation. And going into the first test, because it being new code and it being written like specially for large volumes of messages, we expected it to perform better than NMQ. It didn't.
RMQ is performing actually pretty good. The actual element that we identified back at the beginning of the year when we did our first server meshing test were actually solved, and we're now running at very fast speeds. But it revealed another layer of the onion.
A lot of ships over here, so yeah, probably not working, which is too bad. And I have no idea what's going on. Oh, the FPS. Come on, come back to me. Load.
We were disappointed that we were still seeing interaction delay. We were still seeing high latency. On the back end, we were seeing high levels of packet loss.
You are clear to launch. Oh no, it's gonna lock me in. I might have to grab a smaller ship or something. Why am I locked in here? So this hangar might be busted. I just saw somebody else take off, so not all hangars are busted. That's not good.
Interaction delay is caused by messages taking a long time to go through the hybrid. So when you press F to open a door or exit a ship, a message is sent from your client to the hybrid, then processes the message, and then sends it to a game server and back to your client. So this loop, when it's too slow and takes time, will manifest itself as an interaction delay. Now what causes interaction delay from the hybrid's perspective is when we basically have a traffic jam on one thread. So the application is using multiple CPUs, but at some point in our code, the way we're processing it, we will be all jammed on one. That will create a traffic jam, which will cause the messages to take a long time to do that loop, and that immediately creates interaction delay.
Okay, so what I'm guessing he's saying is that the processes between the back-end services and the front-end services, at some point there is a bottleneck, which is just a single thread that everything has to go through. And as a result, because of that, it slows everything down. It's the neck of the hourglass as sand is trying to go through. Everything is trying to go through that neck, and it's harder for all those packages to get through, possibly. I may be wrong on that one, but the way that Benoit is describing it.
When analyzing issues,
it sounds like we need more threads, is what CIG needs. They need to send it through more routes rather than just one.
With interaction delay, we saw that everything that was going wrong was kind of focused in on where all of the code that runs NMQ was. So when we went to try and optimize that, we discovered that we're kind of in this dead end. We can't really figure out how to, with the structure of NMQ, improve it. So with RMQ, we kind of addressed those problems kind of at their root and really thought about how we can not end up in this dead end again.
That is the jump point. So we are going to, oh, well, that is not the jump point. That is where we're going. Within that amazing visual, there is a delightful jump point for us to go through, hopefully. I'm not entirely sure if it's working. I know people were telling me, because it's in Evocati, which is a very early build of 4.0, sometimes it's not working, but we'll find out together.
What we expected from that is that we would be able to achieve a much higher throughput, which it does. It can achieve that. But by optimizing that, we see what was behind NMQ that was also causing issues, that wasn't getting the opportunity to really like stretch its legs to the point where it was able to become an issue.
NMQ was at a dead end, right? There wasn't so much we could do there, just to the nature of how that had been written. The game we were building at the time when that was written, radically different.
It couldn't grow, it couldn't evolve.
Exactly, it was limited in its nature.
Our game is massively complicated. We produce so much data from everything, not just players, NPCs, from ships, from doors, from to elevators, to just everything kind of going on. That the NMQ at least, and then the RMQ just like no.
So RMQ's focus was, yes, to immediately try and solve some of the issues we had seen, but also to provide us some room to grow. And right away, we noticed a distinct lack of parallelization when we update dirty messages.
So a dirty variable is a piece of information or a variable attached to an object that hasn't been communicated to all other members of the mesh.
The sync dirty stuff is just absolutely, it's taking up most of the frame. So where we were originally seeing, let's say like we have this amount of space, right? We were seeing like NMQ take up this much, and then like the rest of the network update taking this much. But now we're seeing sync dirty take this much, and the rest of the network updates take this much, and then RMQ just this tiny little sliver now. So we've addressed RMQ, but oh wow, that underneath all of this, there was this other problem that never really got the chance to generate that load.
Oh, it's just closed. Huh. Oh no. Okay, lining up. Oh my god. Entry requirements met. Oh my word, this is happening. Tuning complete. Oh, the music is actually giving me shivers down my spine.
So we fix this by parallelizing the work or optimizing the work that's happening in that thread so that it goes faster. And so there's multiple approaches to this, but the number one thing that we've been doing in the first series of tests have really been optimizing and parallelizing the work for synchronizing dirty variables.
Parallelizing this allows us to add more lanes. It's just like going from a single lane road onto a highway. We can just handle much more at the same time.
So the onion thing is actually pretty apt, because what they're doing is onion is a good way of putting it, but I like to think of it as archaeology. If you dig, there's a lot of stuff going on under the ground. If you just dig up a piece of dirt, you'll start, if you dig far enough, you're going to see the dirt, the thing that's below the dirt that's keeping all the dirt packed in, which is the bedrock. And if you go below the bedrock, you start to see different layers of rock that go, and as you go further down, all of it is built on top of each other. And so if you need to change, just by changing the outside, the outer layer of what you see, you start to see different changes as you go through. And so what CIG is doing is they're dusting off the top layer and going, there's a lot of fucking bugs under here, and then going through and trying to rearrange each layer of this problem so that they can fix it. They've got a mess that they have to clean up in a way that makes sense. And as they clean it up, they're seeing where the problems are. Geology? I guess geology. I was thinking archaeology because sometimes you build like cities are often built on top of each other. So like the top layer is like why this street is built where it is. If you dig under that street, you'll see another street below it that was built 100 years before. And if you dig even further, you'll see another one before that. And if you go all the way down, you'll eventually see that it was actually built on top of an old dry riverbed that existed 10,000 years ago, but was dried up, and then people have used it as a natural road, stuff like that.
So the server needs to send out.
Onion still makes the most sense but it's not really an onion because it's like as you peel it back, you start to see all the problems, and so you have to kind of fix those problems and then peel the onion back further, fix those problems, and keep going as deep as you can to figure out all of the problems to get to the nitty gritty to try to solve those problems.
Any change that happens to the game, you move, you shoot, and send it to every other client that can also see that entity. What happens is that then needs to go through every single client and go, oh, can you see this, can you see this, can you see this, can you see this? And then synchronize dirty state. That then is what produces the message that updates you. What's a really...
I never understood how that works, like how cities get higher. So cities are destroyed. and you build on top of those things. Just because you built it on top of it doesn't mean that the thing below it doesn't exist still. And cities are built where they are because they're really, really good. Like a city built by the shore is going to be built because that shore existed before long ago. And just because the city is destroyed doesn't mean that area doesn't still have value. And so people, if a city is destroyed and abandoned, people may eventually come back and then build on top of those ruins. But they're not really tearing down those ruins. They're building literally on top of those ruins. So you end up with a layer of city, which means that cities are building up. So like London, for instance, famously has multiple layers. So it's actually much taller than it used to be. Sweeps don't always pick up everything. Detritus gets left behind. Yeah. It's actually more like a case of the ruins of the old city tends to sink down. Not actually, but things like roads and countryside also rises. Dirt accumulates. Yep. Seattle's another example of lost basements. Yeah. Lots of times they rebuild after a fire, earthquake, etc. So it's mostly filling in around mostly debris. Yeah, like a lot of old San Francisco is built on top of the old San Francisco was built on top of the old debris of the San Francisco fire. And so some places of San Francisco, you can still find what had existed beforehand, maybe even pieces of the destroyed San Francisco from before the fire or from after the fire. So.
Easy optimization to make there, especially at higher player counts, as we can just go, oh.
So the Raptor solution to the servers, yeah, but it's more like cable management. That's a good example. It's cable management. You've wrapped everything into a giant cable, and it's causing problems. So you cut the cable open, and you figure out that all of them are being pinched in a certain area. And so if you pull them apart and then rewrap them in their own areas so they're not interfering with one another, you can have better throughput and that kind of stuff. And the more you're able to micro adjust those cable outlet, like the cable design, allows you for better communications.
Every single client we can.
And sometimes you have to replace a cable, you know?
Do at the same time. They're not modifying any data. They're just reading it, because that's what sending it out is. You're just reading the data, and reading the data just reading the data, not modifying it, means that we can run all of that information at the same time. So with not too much work, we can get a really, really big optimization.
Oh, okay. Opening jump point. Guys, what the heck, man? This is next level. Entering jump tunnel.
After that first wave of parallelization, we've seen some immediate benefits.
It's feeling really good. Server's feeling good. Knock on wood, no server errors so far, no crashes, stuff like that. So I appreciate that greatly.
We started to see reductions in those key metrics for interaction delay and game responsiveness and packet loss.
That was quite a dramatic exit, I have to say. I got very lucky I didn't just get slammed into one of these asteroids.
Can you hear me? Jump if you can hear me. I'll jump again if you can hear me. Oh, nice, you can hear me, let's go.
Things were showing signs of improvement. So you'll see that we pushed the player count up again. This was our first test going past 1,000 players. And pretty rapidly we ran into the next bottleneck, which was the binds. And a bind, in very simple terms, is effectively the connection between your client and your view of the game world to the server's view of the game world. So if I see a coffee cup on the table in front of me, it's because my client, running on my computer, has bound over the network to the server's view and knowledge of the existence of that entity.
All right, so
Today's stream, my name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. How you doing? How you doing, my vanilla shake? I'm not dropping that. If you're uncomfortable with me saying that, I will stop it, but I'm still going to call you Mr. Vanilla. I want to make him feel special. Zero sent us to the Lord Addy. I love it. And by the way, I have no idea why. So you can say that on Norse. Norse, do it again. I don't know why I came up with that nickname. I just did it, and I'm just like, this is funny. So I'm keeping it. We're watching the ISC to kind of go through this. Welcome to Office Hours. This is where I yap about Star Citizen. Lore, news, more. We kind of go off on other tangents. I spent about an hour explaining why Star Citizen needs mecha. And Zero, if you're still here, you know why. I'm firmly of the belief that Star Citizen's ground game could improve with mech.
Nutali just gifted 5 subs.
Thank you so much, Newt, for that 5 subs. You're both very important. You're all very important pubbers, very precipices, very neat pedestrians. This, you rock. Shots and cheers in chat. Y'all shots and cheers. How you doing, Newt? Newtly, you messaged me earlier about being on Purple RP, right? UE armies of a forgotten stepchild. Give them mechs. Yes. No? Somebody else. Oh, somebody else. Let's see who it was. I thought it was you. Is it Michi? No. Oh, no, it was Lady Violet. We talked about the Xion lyrics and the all that kind of stuff. Thank you for them for giving those subs. I don't RP, but I bully people. Yeah, that's what I was remembering. It's like I remember looking. I was like, why is Newtly talking about role play? I thought Newtly was a sweat lord. Vaguely threatening, hello, how are you? Newtly giving us up to TV Liquid, that's just low. Hey, how you doing there, Zero? But yes, I still firmly believe that Star Citizen needs battle mechs. And it needs the most iconic Western battle mech, which is the AT-AT. Command, walker vehicle, transport, mobile artillery, maybe? The new MFD's UI flying Star Lancer is so good. Yeah. Go on. I talked an hour about it, but effectively, I would go with the ATTE. Is that the one that's in Clone Wars? But yeah, I would say something like that. Effectively, the argument I have is that CAG doesn't really have a full fleshed out idea about ground game, and you'll need to have different scales for ground game. And the highest scale of ground game could easily be something like a Titanfall mech, you know, something that's big enough that it can move around like obstacles and be useful on the ground, but still be vulnerable to anti-tank weapons, and you know it has higher clearance. But it could also be big enough to have larger shields, basically a medium ship or medium or large ship, but with walkers. That allows it for a lot of power on the ground to also counter space gameplay, like ships and such, to give it some scale. Also, because it's cool, and who can argue it's cool? No, let it carry the railgun so we can have broadsides. Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's the scale I was thinking the walkers to as well, like the spider walkers from Clone Wars. Yeah. Like what we have right now is the ATLS and stuff like that. It's more like the tiniest of the mechs, the exosuits. I'd like to imagine the angry Spectrum post after people notice the Titan suit doesn't fit through different doors. The Titan suit is not going to be a boarding vest thing. It's designed to like defend small areas. I think you could scale it properly to the point where it can be used like a ship on the ground and has its limitations. It doesn't have a quantum drive, so it needs to be moved around.
Dem biddies.
Thank you, different dem biddies as well there, Twitch Wetsu. As long as it has a melee bash, of course. Any mech requires a melee weapon. Something like a Titan suit would be perfect for boarding, though. Depends on the ship. I think like a Titan suit would be perfect for larger ships, but you're not going to use the Titan suit to board a Cutlass. You can't get through, like you can, like right now the ATLS can get into a Cutlass, but you can't get to the cockpit with a Cutlass. Maybe you'll be able to blow the doors open with it, but yeah, Bengal would be fine. You might not. Blow the doors open, stick your gun in, and just start pulling the trigger, trying to kill everything inside. The scariest thing, CIG, is to give me a basic sledgehammer. All right, before we go back to watching, CIG has legitimately said that they are working on ballistic shields. So if I can hold the ballistic shield in one hand and a boarding axe in another, that's game. That's fucking game. All right.
Huzzah. It's primarily the medical areas. Terrible. Ooh, what's this? Open. Ooh, fuses. Down with your colony.
In our game, we have a lot of entities. Last time I checked, Stanton was at well over 1 million in an average kind of game session, and numbers just get bigger and bigger as time goes on.
Ivan said there were 1 million entities. That's like starter numbers, right?
So, so that was just with Stanton. So Stanton, initially when we seed Stanton, so seeding is like just us putting all the initial state there. That is about 720,000 entities.
I am at area 18. So now we're gonna have another experience.
What he's saying is 720,000 entities per player game session. So that's how much I believe that the idea is that that's how much your player has to encounter with on average basis. I might be wrong. That may be just all of the entities that exist in Stanton, but that seems low. That's every single one.
Oh my god.
AI definitely feels a lot more variety. That's good. Looking good. Relax, pal. Just walk right through me. Jeez.
I do also think that a lot of this issue is probably why we have such bad performance in servers and like NPCs and stuff like that, is because of stuff like this. And that's what CIG is talking about here, is what they're doing is optimization of the netcode. They're going through and figuring out how the clients talk to the servers and so on and so forth.
After a little bit of soak time, so say a week, we see that very, very quickly grow to around 3 million. Grow pretty quickly, and like from there we see things kind of continue to grow. This is kind of why we need like this big focus on like cleaning up entities and stuff like that. Oh. It doesn't just help the game, it also helps the network with the replication and the interaction delay.
So in order to optimize the binds, what we need to do is properly assess what part of a big bind can be done in parallel with another so that they don't interact with each other. That allows us to go wide, use more lanes to go faster.
The motorway is completely clear. We just can't get the things up the on-ramp fast enough. So what we're trying to do is basically add more on-ramps. So with binds, what that means is we might have the same number of entities that we need to actually get that you want to see updated. But what we can try and do is try and do that faster. So with parallelization, with some clever optimizations, among other things, hopefully. Progress is looking positive. So we've been working on a lot of the more like tedious little details, which has been like kind of like figuring out how we get information into our message queue in the most optimal way possible. But that's also setting us up for being able to then be very clever about how we parallelize the binds.
There we go. I just click on the left click on the mouse, so I open the tunnel. There we go. Here we go. We are opening it. All right. Entering jump tunnel. Here we go.
I love
so smooth.
the new design.
So smooth. So smooth. Okay.
I am really excited to see this progress further. Already the jump gates feel really smooth and reliable to make use of. This is going to make a very exciting addition to the game when it comes to live, and opens up so many possibilities for the future. Everyone at CIG is doing an incredible job of bringing this to reality. Amazing work all round.
Alright, so now that I kind of let the FPS kind of catch up with me here, and I'm kind of trying to let all the shaders load, so that's hopefully a lot of what you're seeing with lag, and it's not just optimization issues, but it's starting to feel better now that I'm kind of just standing here for a moment.
We really think that unlocking that will allow us to go to at least 10x performance on the versus the current game experience on live, which is at 100 players. But this will also allow us to uncover more layers of the onion that we can optimize to go at even higher numbers on one single hybrid, which will allow us to go bigger, just like we did with RMQ from NMQ, just like we did with the dirty variables optimizations. Binds will allow us to go further, but it's not the end of the tunnel. We still have more work to do to get even more player counts on one hybrid.
All right. We're gonna see what's inside here. Oh my god. This is so crazy. Oh, too much light.
Un joueur incroyable. Bonjour monsieur.
The visuals are crazy.
We want to push further, and the message from Chris is go as big as we can, as quickly as we can. We want to do that in a way that delivers a better feeling, more responsive game. We're not just going to jump to big numbers just because we can. There's nothing stopping us going and putting a couple more zeros at the end of the player cap, but that's not going to lead to a good experience until we continue to address the bottlenecks that we know we have, and more that we'll discover as we go forward.
We have a lot that we can improve on, and a lot of that looks very, very intimidating, but I'm excited would probably be the emotion to kind of use for it, because we spent so long trying to figure out how we can do server meshing that we've not really had a chance to kind of slow down and look. And now we're kind of in that phase where we can kind of look at where things that have existed for the past 10 years can be improved. And being able to then tear out huge systems and replace them with NMQ and RMQ, and really try and make the best thing that we possibly can is really exciting.
So what did we learn this week? That the progress of moving server meshing forward is only made possible with the help of testers like you. That each new win like RMQ peels back another layer of the performance onion to be addressed next, like binds, which since the time these interviews were recorded have made tremendous progress and are already revealing the next layers underneath. And that this work doesn't stop with the upcoming Alpha 4.0, because as the game grows to the sights set in Star Citizen 1.0 and beyond, so too must the efforts to continuously optimize. And I want to give a special thanks to Star Citizens Adder Moth, Citizen Kate and Will, Dominguez, Even Lease, Hybrid V, Le Regular, tried, Morphologist, Ale43, Speedfragger, and Torada, as well as everyone else who's been documenting this process from the other side of the table. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you. And as next week is IAE, instead of ISC, there's going to be something a little bit different coming your way next Friday. We'll see you there.
Ship talk. That was good. So, was good. Going through that, it was interesting. So, one of the things that is important to new in this Inside the thing, this Inside Star Citizen was pretty interesting because it kind of went through a lot of the, like, what was wrong in more detail, understanding a little bit more about what they're functioning and what their kind of goal is moving forward. And from what it sounds like is that now that they've gotten the system out, they're trying to figure out how to optimize how the servers talk to each other, to how to optimize the performance so the players are enjoying themselves. And it also sounds like this is not something that is going to ever finish. This is something that CIG will be doing until the end of time, or until they stop paying their network engineers, whichever comes first. So many other streamers not mentioned. Ship sales equals no finish. I mean, yeah. As long as they're selling ships, they can pay their employees to keep them working on it. Okay, sure, but how can I use this to blame marketing? Like, all right, I'm going to give this talk because I think a lot of people entirely misunderstand Star Citizen's development system and how it works. Because I think a lot of people come at Star Citizen with the idea that CIG sells ships, and because ships is their main way of making money, all they ever care about is ships and not gameplay and content. And that kind of understanding around Star Citizen, I think, is fundamentally the wrong way of looking at things. Because you'll hear people say, when something's broken, people immediately go, well, yeah, this is broken, or they had to remove this, but they'll have 5 new ships ready. And yeah, they will. Because the ship team doesn't work on networking. CIG, from the beginning, was selling ships to make the game. So they had teams working on ships before they had teams working on anything else, because that was the sales. And ship sales pay for everything else. And because the ship team has been around the longest, they have the most organization. That organization pays off because they get better at producing the ships they're producing at. Every year they produce better quality ships, higher quality ships, larger ships, new concepts, ideas, or bring in new gameplay to the game. So those ship teams are constantly working. No matter what's going on behind the scenes at Star Citizen, they're always making ships. And that's what they're hired to do. Because they need people to make ships, because ships exist. They could fire the entire ship team tomorrow, and it won't make the game come out faster. You know, they could fire every single person who is not in charge of optimizing performance of the game, and it would still take them as long to optimize the performance of the game as it would take normally. That ship has sailed. That ship sailed when the game began production, because there are a lot of other factors when it comes to development. Things like too many cooks in the kitchen. It's a lot harder. Like when you start scaling up the numbers of people, it requires either really good management or really, really good planning or really good like cohesion within a team to have multiple people building something together. My limited experience with writing code is that I would fucking kill somebody if I had to write code alongside somebody right now. Because writing code is like having a signature. Everyone's going to approach the same thing slightly differently. And if you have 4 people, they have to be in sync with what they're writing and how they're writing. You have to kind of figure out how everything works at the same time. The more you scale that up, the more of those people who are going to have to be in the same mindset. So if someone fucks up, or if someone is in charge of a specific thing, so maybe if you micromanage it and say, okay, you're in charge of just this section, that person gets hit by a bus, you're fucked. Or that person gets sick for 3 months, you're fucked. So there's an upper level of how many people you want working on one thing. I don't know what that is. I'm not a programmer, but from my own experience and from my understanding of researching these sorts of things, that tends to be the case. There is a optimized number you can do, but it's going to vary between a lot of different teams. Interaction, lights, environmental artists, level artists, tech artists, C+ code, HLSL, shader, modelers, etc. There's so many different people who have to work together, and there's a lot of different factors. And all it takes is one fucking thing to entirely fuck up and break to ruin everything else. Because games are built on houses of cards. And it's a pain in the ass when something breaks because you have to go through and figure out what broke and why it broke. And that takes time, it takes effort, which is the reason why most games don't have a scope or scale like Star Citizen, because they have a time limit. 4, 5, 6 years to get this done and push it out the door. Because, so as a result, they have to use the tools they have at hand to produce the best thing they possibly can within the time limit, which means things get cut. Things that are basically get finished and ready to go get cut because they just don't have the time to test and massage and work on said content because they have a deadline. And as a result, that's where people will say things like, limitations. It's not just with games and everything. Like, limitations can breed creativity. People have to get really creative with how they do things. And Star Citizen has the luxury and the what's another good word for luxury? The opulence of not having to worry about time as much. So all the things that devs want to do, they can do, unless you manage them properly. If they want to be super optimized and do everything they want to do and make it so it's perfect, they can do that. Unless you have somebody standing over them with a rolled up newspaper going, no, stop it. It's good enough. Move on, that is difficult to do. So no matter what, Star Citizen, in the way it works right now, would never change to becoming a completed, finished, playable game within a time period anybody would like. No matter what you do, the ship has sailed. It's just a matter of how can, as players who want to see the game succeed, nudge CIG in a direction we hope that they can improve upon. But at the end of the day, it's entirely up to the management and direction that management can have. If it broke line 555,000, the problem is somewhere before that, like, yeah, exactly. Ship sails, ship sails. Ideally, a team should not be bigger than what you can feed with 2 large pizzas, if it can be helped. QA, networking, etc. need to be bigger. Yeah, because they have more things they have to do, but yeah. Which is one of the reasons why, to a degree, it seems a little excessive that CIG has that fucking many people who work for them. But it's also because CIG is trying to build the plane while they're flying it, which most games don't have to do. Most games have the luxury of going through extensive alphas and betas before the public even knows that they exist. One of my favorite stories that I've learned recently was the development behind Titanfall, because the Titanfall 1, its story is batshit. Like, physical violence happened on Titanfall 1 team. Titanfall's one team. People were I don't know if that actually happened. There was the reports that it was threatening to happen, that people were breaking out into fist fights at one point in the Titanfall 1's development. And these aren't just like new developers who've never seen before. These are the people who made Modern Warfare. These are the people who made the Call of Duty franchise. And like, they didn't know what Titanfall was. They didn't even know what the name of the game was until about like 6 to 8 months from its release. Like less than a year from its release, they finally figured out what the game was going to be. After like 4 years of testing. Titanfall, yeah, it was. I've read some of the interviews about it. Like they were getting into fist fights over some of the directions. Citizens, my name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here.
Stand by for
Your space bar at
Titanfall.
the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? Yeah, that game. So yeah, like there's been weirder shit happening on dev teams than Star Citizen. It's just we get to see, and that was going back to the original idea, like. Titanfall didn't become a game that it would eventually become for like half a year before it was done. Destiny 1 and 2 famously had that same problem. Like Bungie is notorious for that. Same with BioWare. Like a lot of companies don't really find the game that they're making and actually decide on it until about a year before it's going to release. And at that point, they'd had extensive internal testing and changes. The original Titanfall was envisioned as a game where you had to repair a ship that was being attacked by dragons, and you also had to use a mech to fight off the dragons. That was its prototype. You were repairing a spaceship while it was flying in the atmosphere, and you had to repair the ship while dragons were attacking you. And you beat the dragons with mechs. There were 30 players sitting at the stands and jump point, got some pictures. Nice. And so, like, that's nothing like what we got with Titanfall. Dragon Riders of Pern, I don't know, it may have been an influence, but it may have been not been dragons, it may have been demons. Knowing that the Respawn devs, I wouldn't be surprised if it was demons. But like the point being, games have weird trajectories and testing, but CIG doesn't have that luxury because they have a game that they pitched and now everyone gets to see it being made. CIG still is changing the game, but I'm quite honestly surprised they haven't changed it as much as they could have. Because they can't. And as a result, they have to build, polish, and release a build of Star Citizen every 3 months. Well, let's be honest, every 6 months with CIG's pacing. And that means that anything they do to optimize the game will be broken the next patch they release. Maybe not everything, but a lot of stuff. So they're wasting a lot of effort having to optimize every patch in some way to make sure that players can play it. That's the reason why Star Citizen's taking 12 years. Combined with they had to build the studio from scratch and they're building 2 games and all those other things. Like that is one of the major reasons why things slow down. I would play that version of Titanfall, yeah. That and the Petty Merchantman, yeah. Destiny was in pre-production 5 years prior to the release when Halo 3 ODST released. And do you remember what the original pitch for Destiny was? It wasn't one pitch. It was two. Destiny was two different games. And then they just said, let's take your chocolate and your peanut butter and merge it together. Because Destiny was initially pitched, because there are two different kind of sides at Bungie that wanted to do it. One wanted to do a fantasy sort of dungeon crawler game, because for those of you who don't know, Bungie actually comes from a fantasy background. A lot of their first games were actually fantasy based. Oni was the PS2 one. Myth, was that it? The Myth games? And the other side wanted to do some sort of like cyberpunk super robot adventure stuff. And so what they did was they just said, let's take that cyberpunk robot adventure and mix it with the swords and sorcery of fantasy and come up with this game that we all know as Destiny. So you have like psychic powers, which are basically magic powers, and literal warlocks and swords and guns and all that sort of thing. They actually showed off some of the early concept work of both of the different games. I think Dinklebot was great. I think people got too upset about Dinklebot, but he was good for what he was trying to do. So that's a long way of talking. Hopefully that made some sense to whoever's watching, because it's one of those things whenever I hear someone saying like, oh, well, you know, Star Citizen is just about selling ships. It's like, yeah, but that's how they make the rest of the game. They want you to be able to play the game while they build the game and still need money to pay people making the game. Yeah, all of that takes a long time and why they're huge. If Star Citizen has a power axe and a power shield, I'll be set. They have a ballistic shield, and they've talked about a melee system. There is a melee system somewhere in Star Citizen that we've never fucking seen that they built for Squadron that I'm really interested in seeing where the fuck it is, CIG. Like, they built an entire melee system with unique melee weapons for the NPCs you fight in Squadron 42. I'm watching this thing you sent, dude. Okay, I have to play that. Hold on. Chat, you have to see this. I'm gonna get hit for it, but I'll mute it later. Newt sent me this. I love it. So, Squadron 42 demo, right? You'll be away for IAE. You'll be recuperating, Luna. Enjoy yourself. Space Band sent me something. Do. $30 Polarises at the jump point. Hey, Echo Bet is in the chat there. Nice. Paul, why are you the way I am? It's how my mommy made me. That ship is full of sweets.
Drinks all around. Let's party like
it's your
birthday. Party like it's your birthday.
That's an name I haven't seen forever.
Cupum just got a sub from Champion 7B. Champion 7B gifted 12 months of Tier 1 to Cupum.
Jesus fuck.
They've gifted 337 months in the channel.
Champ comes in and gives a 12 months, a full year of membership to Hello everyone from Becky's stream. My name is Paul Berserker1, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. I'm going to play that Caramel Dancing clip again because you came in right afterwards, and I think you would appreciate this there, Becky. Oop, here we go. Squadron 42 demo, right? I'll turn the music up as well. That's how it goes.
Drinks all around. Let's party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. Come on, put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday.
Becky on Blast just got a sub from Shempaster. Shempaster gifted a Tier 1 sub to Becky on Blast.
Hey.
They have given 212 gift subs in the channel.
Drinks all around. Let's party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. Come on and put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday.
Nootally just got a sub from Shempaster. Shempaster gifted a Tier 1 sub to Nootally. They have given 213 gift subs in the channel.
Oh, Jesus. Thank you for giving both of those there, Shampasa. You're both very important pubbers, very impressive sisters, very pedestrians. This is your fault. 300 shots and cheers and chat. Y'all shots and cheers. Shep is doing this, the single drops.
Party like it's your birthday. Come on and put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday.
Jaded Cynic just got a sub from Shempaster. Shempaster gifted a Tier 1 sub to Jaded Cynic.
Thank you so much
They
for
have
gifting.
given 214 gift subs in the channel.
Thank you for gifting that gift sub to Jaded Cynic there, Shemp. You're both very important pubbers, very impressive sisters, very pedestrians. Y'all rock. Shots and cheers and chat. Y'all shots and cheers. All right. While he's doing a cool down, here we go. I'll do it one more time. For all of you who just joined us, the best meme I have seen in Star Citizen in a long time. It's such a high effort shit post. I love it.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Thank you so much for that. Who was that? That subscription there. Oh, was that a membership? Forged Horizons becoming an ultra VIP. Thank you so much for that. You're very important, public, very impressive, very pedestrian. This is your fault. The reason I'm drinking. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Thank you, Newt. CAG something big ship, Newt. Dude's just sending me memes at this point. Newt has landing gear envy. That's what it is. Paul, did you watch the UAP congressional hearings? What happens to Star Citizen disclosure happens before 1.0? Chris is going to have to go back to his planet.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
NoSpeak just resubscribed for 2 months.
Thank you so much, Norris, for that 2 months of support. You're a very important public, very impressive, very any pedestrian.
Forged Horizons just had a space baby.
Thank you so much for that 9 months of support, Forged Horizons. You're supporting on YouTube and Twitch? 9 months ago, you did the worst thing you could ever do to a Twitch streamer. You subscribed. Now, 9 months later, our Twitch baby is born. What shall we name our Twitch baby before discard it? And Shemp.
You can take away my spaceship.
Ship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Shempasta just resubscribed for 25 months. Wood face, wood face, wood face, wood face. Not like this, 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 not like this. Wood face, wood face, wood face. Not like this, not like this, not like this, not like this. Pub pipe. Not like this, not like this, not like this, not like this, not like this.
It was 10 months ago. You just forgot a month. Thank you so much for that 25 months of support there, Champ. You're a very important pupper, very impressive, very pedestrians. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Is that a Yo-Yo Meg one? I love it. I love that. I need to steal that. I also need to update all my emotes. I'm gonna steal that as the animated one, but with me going. But it's gonna do it the opposite direction. So that when because hers is doing this way, I love it when Twitch streamers like do their own emotes and then it's a set. You have to subscribe to both of the Twitch streamers to get the full set. Like I actually have this. Like that.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No abuse.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Grisman56 just resubscribed for 6 months. Always forget about my Prime over here on Twitch.
Thank you so much for that Twitch Prime sub there, Grizz. You're a very important pupper, very impressive, very new pedestrian. This is your father. There's no drinking night. Shots and cheers to chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Carl Danson is Swedish, right? Dance monkey, dance monkey, dance. Dance monkey, dance monkey, dance monkey. Ooh. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go use the restroom real quick, and then we'll wrap up this whole thing. So I don't think we have anything else to talk about. We'll talk a little bit about the ships, because I know people. I actually did a full stream of me looking at the Carapin, the Intrepid, and then the two, the Ghost and the Tracker. So.
Drugs.
Genesis. 2 words. Distress.
Weapons
free, y'all.
Stand by for Titanfall.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
This calls for a rewatch of the entire history of Star Citizen. By the way, number 5 is done. It's in the can. It's been shipped off to my
Everybody in his dog
editor,
calls
who's been
himself
looking at it, working on it. I think they're going to get it done. They said they're trying to get it done by the end of this month. So hopefully it will be ready for all of y'all by December. Probably end of the year. Beginning of New Year, you get to watch it. I've got so many things I got to work on that I'm going to have to drop some stuff here and there just because I'm getting busy at work as well. I don't know the whole song. That's a lot.
Genesis.
Mason posted this, and I actually do like this. This seems like I feel like this is would be very Star Citizen. That style of mech. Next, we should talk about citizenship. The citizenship comes with Squadron 42. Do we even know what that's going to be? Because they've mentioned the F7A Mark II in the past, and I think they've also mentioned the F8 I don't think they'll ever be the F8 or F8C, maybe the F8A, but yeah. I don't think Star Citizen's single-player campaign is going to have a definitive ending where Terra or Earth is involved. I do think that players will have a chance to define who wins the war between Terra and Earth, or how it kind of happens between Terra and Earth. But I don't think we're going to see a situation where you get to literally side with those sides and have a civil war. That's going to be, you know, Star Citizen, like, end game story level stuff. Oh, citizenship comes with Squadron 42. I think that could make sense. I know a lot of people are kind of upset about that idea, but like, if the main campaign of Star Citizen in 1.0 takes 20 to 30 hours, that's how much Squadron 42 takes. And you'd want people from Squadron an easier transition into Star Citizen. So if you complete Squadron 42's campaign, you should also get the citizenship. You mean no Horde or Alliance division? Not initially, no. The F8A is basically a loadout of the F7A with 2 additional size 3s, right? I think it also may come up with size differences in terms of components or hull strength improvements. I don't know. I don't see it either, but I don't think CIG gives a shit. Like, I think CIG is going to spot check its immersion. And I think the idea that Squad 42 has some benefit with Star Citizen is never going to go away. Either reputation boosts or something like that. And I think having citizenship happen by just hand-waving the fact that you've completed the campaign is one way of doing it. They did say that citizenship would be rewarded at the end of Squadron 42's or Star Citizen's main storyline. Yeah. And if Star Citizen's main storyline is as long as Squadron 42's storyline, then, you know, makes sense. Yeah, that's true. They also said Star Citizen will never have survival mechanics. Squadron 42 is now pay to win Star Citizen. Not if it takes the same amount of time to do Star Citizen's main storyline as it takes to do the Squadron 42's main storyline, then it's not pay to win at all. It's just a choice of how you play it. I feel like they'll keep it fair. It's not like Squadron 42 will release and we will get ostracized. Yeah. Where can I find it? I don't know, because Newt sent it to me through Discord, so you'd have to ask Newtly. They'll tell you what it is. I posted it on Blue Sky just now. It might be on Reddit. Would be my guess is where they got it. Could be somewhere else. I'm gonna abuse my my powers though. Where are you, Jake? I need your professional account, Jake. There you are. Why are you online, Jake? Go to bed. Yeah, so 4.0 is really coming to Wave 1 soon. Yeah, apparently the jump points are broken, and that may be the thing that's preventing it from going to Wave 1, because they said specifically they're pushing the 4.0 patch now, even though it has broken stuff, so they can do some testing, and then they'll try to update it in the morning with the fixes that they do, and that will then be Wave 1. If it works, it'll be Wave 1 over the weekend. So as of this weekend, you'll get Wave 1 access to 4.0. There's a lot broken on it tonight. Well, yeah, there's going to be a lot of it broken, period. Wave 1 is going to be 100% dog shit because you'll get it and everything will be broken, even if CIG fixes everything. If it doesn't work, it should go to Wave 1 for concurrency's sake. Yep. I am 100%. I am of the opinion of move fast and break shit. As a wise person said, some days you play Star Citizen, some days Star Citizen plays you. It was there was a massive players queue at Jump Point. It probably was. To be honest, the whole advantages of a citizen over civilian won't enter into PvP, FPS, or space combat that much. The eligibility to run for a UEE Senate seat doesn't give a DPS perk. It also lets you purchase land in UEE space. So it basically lets you play, you know, easy mode with base building. Moving fast and breaking ship is fine. It's not like we're exploring the Titanic wreckage or anything. Yeah. I decided to catch Torchwood finally. Turns out Children of Earth is as good as people say. It is a really good series, Torchwood. Fantastic series. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if CIG moved into Wave 2 before IAE, because IAE is the end of next week. So 3.24.3 will be released next week. Probably next Wednesday, would be my guess. Apparently the 2.4.3 patch was also like FPS hell, so. Do you think they'll ever have player-elected senators like Eve does? Eve does player-elected senators? Well, they did say that they wanted to do senators, player senators, in player-run senators in the game at one point. That was early days. I do think that they'll do in-game elections, though, for, like, Castra and Terra. Is there any lore for the Intrepid? No. I'll tell you right now, generally speaking, if I haven't done a video on it, there probably isn't lore on it. Especially for new ships. New ships, they'll have lore when they either release or they'll have like a Jump Point article a couple months later. I mean, yeah, there's definitely gonna be governments made of players. I believe that CIG, if they do this right, will likely create natural conditions for civilizations. Like, a large group of people will build a base and a location that's very valuable. Other groups will then gravitate to that group because they can either offer some assistance or they'll ask for protection so they can operate within the bubble of that protection. Those larger groups will agree if the smaller group pays a fee and abides by their rules. And slowly but surely, the large group bases will become small towns where people are building their groups around there so they can participate in the economic activity of that larger group. And that larger group will then gain advantages for having that group because they'll ask for taxes, fees for doing so. So a symbiotic relationship forms between individuals and the large group. It's how governments form. AstroPubtopia, yeah. Paul the Hut. Eve has player-elected representatives that meet with the devs. I don't think they'll do that. I don't think CIG will do that. A lot of orgs will probably end up with like Eve, with warlords in charge. I'm looking forward to the political analysis of Star Citizen's lawless organizations or organizations in lawless space, because like Eve or WoW or like a lot of MMOs that people have done like research studies on those things. I think Star Citizen's big contribution, ironically, is going to be how CIG is trying to match the reality of life as close as possible without making it super boring. And And as a result, by trying to mimic the effects that cause things like civilizations to form, they're going to create civilizations. So the idea that's saying, oh, we're like warlords that control Eve. Welcome to human history. Human history by default is warlords. Like most of the governments of humanity have been one strong man with guns and or weapons who controls the other people because they offer protection. That is how human history has functioned. Democracy is very, very rare and very, very unusual for humanity. The fact that so many governments of humanity these days are based around democratic principles is super odd in human history. Because we're just not built like that. Paul, someone in your Discord and Star Citizen has shared a video of like 100 players is ready to invade Pyro. Yes. The strike back against Xeno threat has begun. So I expect that CIG or that Star Citizen will have the similar thing where charismatic leaders or well-planned leaders or just straight-up ruthless leaders will emerge in a lot of these locations to control large areas of space, and then negotiate amongst each other in realpolitik style. Gate camping is what I fear. Well, based off of what CIG is planning on doing is that there won't be a dedicated exit point for gates. So there'll be you'll be exiting kind of dispersed when you exit the gate. So it's not a specific exit location. So the exit locations can drift. And CIG will likely continue to have that drift happen over time. So you won't be able to just be able to go to one places. Also, the temporary jump points, the traveling jump points, was it variable? I can't remember what they called it, but the temporary jump points will be the main way you can avoid gate camping. Transient, thank you. At least post-agricultural human history, Astro, is warlordism. Hunter-gatherer societies can be surprisingly egalitarian. Well, that's because it's survival. But I wouldn't be surprised if, because I don't know much about pre-Stone Age civilizations, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of, or pre-Neolithic age, I should say. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those early societies still had some one or two major leaders at the center around security and defense. All the real people will actually be, activity will be balanced out through NPCs, i.e. devs, through other means. Yes, but I think most of that is going to be done in places like Castra and Stanton and Terra. Places like Nyx and Pyro will not really have that. Nyx will probably have a little bit of it, but not nearly, but Pyro will not have nearly any of that at all. What ship are you buying at IAE? The Polaris. You yourself are buying a Polaris. Because I want your wallet to cry. I'm not buying it for you. Nobody in this chat is buying it for you. You're buying it for you. I'm going to get the Intrepid, personally. There's not really any other ships I'm really looking forward to. I already have a Max, so as far Starlancer Max, so I mean, that's technically already purchased. How are you feeling on the Polaris? 950 limited hull? I don't think we'll have limited hull, but I think close to 1,000, yeah. I might pick up an Intrepid just because an Intrepid is a good smuggling ship. So when inevitably, and I say inevitably because I'm trying to think it into existence, wish it into existence, when CIG brings back smuggling with the scanning gameplay in like June of next year, then with Nyx, or probably more like the end of next year with Nyx, we will I'll be able to have all the ships that I think will do well with smuggling. We'll see about the things we don't know of. The rumors of an Anvil capital ship have been floating around forever. Nah, I don't think it's going to be... they'll keep it limited, the Pioneer. It's become so important that I don't think they'll keep it limited. They may, though. CIG has surprised me in the past. I can tell you this, for almost certain. I'm going to make this bold claim, and any of you, and if I'm wrong, I will be happily wrong. Well, not happily wrong, I'll be unhappily wrong. CIG will not increase the price of the Endeavor. Why would they? They're never going to make it. They will make it, Serg. Just not at 1.0. Oh, Pioneer's going up. It's got bigger, so it's going to go up. Anvil Capital, the Super Carrack. So, let me walk you down my Primrose path of lore. So, a couple of years ago, I think it was 2021 at Invictus, they actually had an announcer talk over the speakers about various groups and what they were doing. And this one line has been reused for every Invictus since then, which is something to the effect of, we'd like to welcome Anvil Aerospace to Invictus. The Anvil has been working with top scientists top Navy scientists in the Killian system to bring the next generation of ship technology. And that hit me pretty hard, because here's the thing. Anvil isn't headquartered out of Killian. They're headquartered out of Terra. But they have built ships out of Killian. There's only one ship they've built out of Killian, though. And that is the Carrack. Because Killian is where the sky docks are. The sky docks of Killian are where Bengals are built. Largest ships in the UEE are built out of Killian. Also Earth, but Killian is the main dry dock yard. So if Anvil is in Killian working with the UEE, they aren't building another ship. They're not building a tiny ship. They're building a capital, or damn near close to a capital. They already have a large ship. I wouldn't see them do another large ship, but I could see them doing something the size of a Polaris, because right now Polaris stands alone in its class. It is the only corvette of that sort of between the frigate and the gunship sort of style we have. And CIG has been talking about for years making the MMO style balancing: tank, DPS, area control, AoE, and healer. And we already have that with the gunship class, which is the DPS is the Hammerhead, the tank is the Perseus, and the AoE is the Nautilus. But we only have the DPS with the Corvette class, which is the Polaris. So we still need an AoE and a tank. And who better to build a tanky capital ship than the tanky ship makers themselves, Anvil? Aram, isn't the Hammerhead also a Corvette? No, because CIG's naming system doesn't make any fucking sense, and it's confusing and back-assed. It's not a Corvette because a Corvette requires it to be a capital ship, and you need a capital class component to be a capital ship, which means it has to have a size 4 component. It doesn't have a size 4 component. I think in CIG's balancing terms, it's a Corvette right now until they get better at it. It's a gun barge. It's a gunship. My ideal for an Anvil capital ship, an Anvil Corvette class capital ship, is a single or maybe two Goliath railguns, the shipbusters, strapped to a single to a ship that has no capability of launching and recovering fighters. It's just armor, 2 guns, and then a bunch of bristling with smaller guns for point defense. Size 10s. Size go fuck yourselves. The underside of a javelin or the underside of a Bengal. Just like one of those. Yeah, like, but one. Just one railgun. Or 2 railguns. That's a gun with the living quarters attached. Exactly. A Space T-95. Effectively, you want something that is so fucking dangerous that if you don't pay attention to it, it will eat your lunch and then eat your partner's lunch and then eat your descendants' lunches for all time. Something that you have to pay attention to, but is also not as dangerous if you're facing it one-on-one. The classic tank. Something that will pull aggro and you have to focus, but if you, because if you don't, they will hurt you. So something like a slow-firing railgun that will kill you pretty easily if it hits you or fuck you up really hard is something that you have to pay attention to, but you could probably avoid while you're facing it, especially in something like a Polaris. But if you're focusing on this mythical Anvil capital ship, then the Polaris is free to get behind you and stab you to death with its torpedoes. So, you know, that's kind of how I see the Perseus as well. Perseus is going to be dangerous enough that if you're focusing on the Perseus, you have to focus on the Perseus because it's got the size 7s, which are scary, and not pay attention to the, you know, gun barge that is the hammerhead, or the Nautilus sneaking behind you and dropping mines so that if you try to maneuver, you get blown up. I would like, that would be a cool name for it, the Anvil Yamato. My guess is it would be more some sort of like classic British capital ship. British like battleship name. Like what are the like Victory and like Defiance and those kinds of things. Warspite. Yes, the Anvil Warspite. That's what I expect it to be named. The Anvil Warspite. The Anvil. No, we actually know what the battlecruiser is. The battlecruiser are the ones we saw in Squadron 42. The Corvus and the Integrity. I think it was the Corvus. It might have been the Integrity and the Argus or something like that. Those are the battlecruisers. I'm tired of people going, it's the Bengal. It's just, these are all Bengals. It's like they're Bengal derivatives, but they're not Bengals. They're battle cruisers and escort carriers. Look up Prussian. I know Prussian. It's an old German word, right? Much for that raid there, Master Shock. You're a very important pupper, very impressive Mr. Any pedestrian. This is your father who's on drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Wait for it.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
Omega, USS Texas.
Ever Take away my space game.
I love them, obviously.
Master Shock just resubscribed for 19 months.
Thank you so much, Master Shock, for the 19 months of support. You're a very important pub. We're very impressive, a very new pedestrian. This is your fault. There was one drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Carrick is a 3 to 4 mast ship. The Prussian had five masts. Yeah. Listen, we're all suckers and losers compared to the best ships that have ever sailed the seas, which is Taffy 3. The ships of Taffy 3. The Black Pearl. If you are watching me and you don't know the story of Taffy 3, there's a fantastic old documentary done by the History Channel before they fell off and got cooked. Look up the Battle of Taffy 3. I think it's in dogfights for some fucking reason. But I'm also naming my players. I'm naming my my Perseus after one of the Taffy 3 ships. Leyte Gulf is the battle. The ORP Perun. Oh, was this the ship that shadowed the Bismarck and constantly like threw feces at them and was like, "I am a Pole," over and over again? Yeah, this is the one. No, nothing like that. The closest thing we have to that is probably the Gilchrist. The UPES Gilchrist was a Corvette commanded by Hester Polaris during the First Tavaran War. And when it was patrolling UEE space when it discovered an entire invasion fleet had snuck into the system. And while they had discovered that this invasion fleet existed, they also discovered that they had also been boarded when they weren't looking by the Naule, which were the elite border stealth borders of the Tavaran. So the Tavaran knew they were there before they knew that the Tavaran were there, and the Tavaran had already started the process of trying to take their ship. So in the most ultimate badass move in human history in Star Citizen, as far as I'm concerned, Hester Polaris commanded her ship to do hit-and-run attacks against an entire goddamn fleet while personally fighting off a boarding party of Tavaran boarders who are some of the best best hand-to-hand close CQC combatants in the history of the universe. So taking wounds from this fight while commanding her ship to basically piss off a hornet's nest and successfully destroying several ships twice its size while surviving and preventing the death of millions of civilians who were caught in, whom the fleet was targeting with their attacks before a relief fleet showed up and drove the Tavaran off. Absolute OG. Fucking based ass captain. We don't know what she was in. She was in a Corvette, and the Perseus has never been called a Corvette. So it was called the Gilchrist, and the Gilchrist I don't think that actually matches with the Perseus's naming style, so it's probably an older Corvette style. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. The Storm was built to counter Tavaran tanks and artillery, which makes me wonder, 1, what does a Tavaran tank look like? And 2, where's our 4-legged Prowler tank drop variant? We don't know exactly what Tavaran tanks look like, but we can get an idea because they've been mentioned in multiple different lore pieces. I believe they're hover tanks. Because one of the things that Tavaran did have a pretty good technology over was hover technology, anti-grav technology. That could be a case as well. Let's give us some bird Gundams. The Gokris was 2530 to 2543. I legit wonder if CIG has done the Tavaran models. They haven't. They haven't even finished the Tavaran language and culture. I think they started talking about it recently, like within the year or so, because they've wrapped up a lot of the stuff they were working on with the Xi'an and the Vanduul, because we know both of them are in Squadron. The Banu and the Tavaran are kind of are sort of afterthoughts, and I imagine that the Banu will probably get more attention, because I do think that the Banu are mentioned in Squadron based off of the vertical slice we saw a while back. Are you gonna butt the Anvil Prussian? I'm fine. Question about Death of the Spaceman. When you regenerate, are you the same person, or is it like the Soma video game? So, unlike Soma, where you can like copy your brain into another body, and you can have 2 of you existing at the same time, regeneration doesn't allow you to regenerate a person's consciousness while a link is still active to a person. So when you make a when you make an imprint on an Ibrahim sphere, it's not like a copy of your brain. It's like you've connected your brain to the Ibrahim sphere through interspace, which is a dimension that's mentioned through jump points and regeneration. It's some sort of smaller dimension that touches all points of our dimension. So like kind of like subspace in Star Trek. That connection remains. It can degrade over time, but that remains no matter where you are. And the further away you get, the harder it is to transmit. But you cannot print a new person with that consciousness if it's still actively connected to another person. Once that connection is severed, then that consciousness can be put into a person. If the question is, well, how does that technology work? Not even we know. We fucking with things we don't understand. That's the answer. It's connected to don't work. We're all demons all along. Yeah. Name something more iconic than humanity and getting a technology they have no fucking comprehension of what they're doing and then immediately distributing it around the fucking planet. The Idris P has no gun, no. You can only purchase the Idris P. I don't think you can purchase the Idris M. You can get the Idris M if you have one of those massive packs, but it's like $7,000 to get that one or something like that, or $40,000 to get that. So they've not sold the Idris M in forever. But you can also get a upgrade kit called the Idris K, which is basically the giant fuck-off gun on the front of an Idris P. 15K for Praetorian, yeah. I believe the Idris still has its guns, just not its main cannon. So the Javelin's the way to go. H2. The Javelin comes with no weapons. The Javelin comes completely stripped. It's basically a hull. Yeah, the Idris K is a laser beam rather than the railgun. I don't know how much is the Idris K. Okay, so it's not just a Idris P, it's not just an upgrade kit, it is the ship. And you're not gonna like the price. It's $1,500. All ships should come stripped. Also your mom. Oh, is it $250? Because I'm looking at the website, or at the website, at the tool site, and it says that it's $1,550. Whereas the P is 1,300. Okay, so it's $250. They just added the price of the actual P onto it. The kit is useless without the ship. Okay, so it is a $250 update. So. Well, if you're buying it in cash, it's not $1,500. It's if you're buying it in cash, it's $1,300. Yes, I was wrong. The $250 is only the kit that adds the part, not the ship. I'd love to see Kruger get bigger than Snub ships, but yeah, I agree. Kruger is a fantastic company. Also headquartered out of Sherman in Castra. I hope CHE remembers that and builds a Kruger, a dedicated Kruger like headquarters. The kit isn't limited, right? The K kit isn't limited, but the P is. Also, fun fact, that's where Clark Defense Systems is headquartered too, is Castra. Well, Kruger isn't just a ship manufacturer. They also produce the Tiger Shrike, and they produce a shit ton of parts. So a lot of the parts that make up most of the RSI fleet, or at least a significant amount, are made by Kruger. So like the bolts, the bulkheads, the components that make up their like various internal systems are built by Kruger. I wonder if it's the kit is that kind of thing where like if you have a P, you can get the K kit, but if you don't have the P, if you don't have an interest, you literally can't buy the K kit. Yeah, they're mostly a gun and part company. That's mostly what they do is make parts for ships and guns. They have the Tiger Shrike and they have the Merlin and the Archimedes. And that's the only products they purchase or they build. So like a Kruger headquarters would be like a showroom with those two ships and the gun, and then an elevator with a bunch of offices, and maybe like a manufacturing plant. Yeah, it doesn't lock into you by the Idris P. Okay. All right, y'all. It is well past my bedtime. I've been streaming for over 3 hours. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit that follow button on Twitch. I'm trying to get more people. I try to push that a little bit more because currently I am at 18,543. I'd like to get 20,000 is my goal. Also hit that subscribe button on YouTube. I'm currently pretty, because this is not my lore series, my lore channels. This is my regular channel. I'm at 6,756. I'd love to hit that 10K before the end of the year. I don't think we can do it, but hey, I'll settle for 7K. If you enjoyed this, and of course, hit that like button on YouTube, subscribe for more content, hit the bell icon to be notified when release, and comment down below to help spread this around the algorithm. We're live on Wednesdays through Mondays. So we start on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Mondays are new time. I probably won't be streaming on Monday next week, but we'll see. Because I do want to, well, yeah, I'll probably stream on Monday a little bit, but it'll be kind of a shorter one. And then we'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what we're gonna do. Probably Star Citizen, but possibly more MechWarrior clans. It's up to, because I usually do my pub and plays Fridays where I hang out with Loken and we play Star Citizen or co-op games. It really depends on what's going on. Saturday will be our big expose on the ships of IAE. So we'll be talking about the various ships that will be available at IAE. We'll talk a little bit about CCUs and that sort of thing with the info runners, with Execute, Space Tomato, and Loken and myself. We'll all be sitting there talking about it. And then Sunday, we've got our Save Stanton event where we're going to be hanging out with the my organization, the League of Relic Enthusiasts. We'll be doing the event for the first part of Save Stanton, so we can hang out and do that together. Suffer through some of the problems with that. And then Monday, we'll probably just do some Star Citizen. Unless there's a new indie game that somebody wants to bring up that I'll play, because Mondays is we do our new indie game night, where I'm calling it the Exploring series, where we explore various indie titles that you may have missed that you may want to pick up. Usually they're going to be pretty cheap, and I'll play a couple hours of them, not the whole game, just to give you an idea of what you're going to be getting. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. We're going to raid someone on Twitch, so hold on. Speaking of VTubers, this person I haven't seen, Suzu Trails.
There it is. I'll start busting it down, bro.
Go make this person go, what the fuck? They only currently have 20 people watching them. Blow their minds up.